gave me something to keep pushing. I am. I've been close. Well, yeah, I'm glad. I'm happy for you.
I do, but I think it's gonna come up in a comments.
Keith, are we YouTubing this one? I know a little bit.
We're attempting to.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Call this meeting to order at 9:31 a.m. With us today making up quorum, we have Rich Bracco, Steve Kleinglass, Richard McCafferty, Ernest Booker,
Present.
and Ken Smaha. Additionally, we have Belinda Blanton, who is on the line with us representing District Management. Myself, Jerry Whited, representing District Management. Andy Cohen is here representing District Council. We also have Keith Livermore here, our field manager. Let's see. Am I forgetting anybody here? And Rudy Saratan here, representing Vesta Property Services. All right, we do have audience members in attendance for today. We have a sign-in sheet. I'm going to go ahead and work the sign-in sheet from the top to the bottom. We do have 3 minutes, so please keep in mind all of these audience comments are going to be limited to 3 minutes. We are going to be timing them. I'm going to go ahead and raise my hand when you reach your 3 minutes if you do get to that threshold. And please, just out of respect for our time today, please keep your comments to 3 minutes. And we'll go ahead and hit the Pledge of Allegiance before we do audience comments on the agenda. If everybody would please stand and remove your hats.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jerry, before we start the meeting, I would just like to take a minute to remember a former CDD member, John Milano. Many of you knew John over the years. He passed away last Thursday. And one of the things that is John's legacy for all of us is during his time on the CDD, having experience with the Long Island Lighting Company and being a Long Island boy, I knew all about that stuff. John recommended that we run our irrigation system on the off hours as opposed to prime time. That alone saved, what do you think, Mike?
30,000 hours
A year? Yeah, about 30,000 a year. John was a great guy. He lived in this community for a number of years. And about 2 years ago or so, we moved to Jacaranda Trace. 93, still played poker with the boys.
93, 94, yeah.
93, 94. Still played poker with the boys and was a great guy. God bless John, and thank you for all your service to this community. Thanks, Jim.
Very good. Thank you, Rich. All right, we'll go ahead and get started with audience comments on the agenda here. First up, we have Mr. Michael Browner. Michael.
Good morning, everyone. Michael Browner. My wife Kate and I live at 113 Montaluna.
I don't think it's on.
Hold on. That shouldn't count against my 3 minutes. Or I'll just speak louder.
There we go.
Okay. Good morning, Michael Browner. My wife Kate and I live at 113 Montaluna. We've been here for approximately 18 years. And I'd just like to say that ever since we're here about 4 months a year, and during the 4 months, we would typically hear 3 times a week at least. That has dropped down to almost nothing a while ago. We love the new chef's food, but the vast majority of the servers and the management of the dining room have resigned. Even those that are still here are on 2 weeks' notice. There's only 2 of them left. I'd just like to say that without these people, there is no River Club dining facility. And when you've got so many people quitting, it seems to me that you've got to look to the top of the house. And to me, that's an indication that there's a real problem with Vesta. And from what I've heard, there are about 6 of those who have left. Everyone gave a reason for leaving. They didn't want to work for Vesta. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So we now have Tim Schimberg. Tim?
Morning, Tim.
Good morning. Tim Schoenberg, 117 Torcello. I am the homeowner that is adjacent to the back of the River Club. And I've had some issues and I just want to voice them. WCI planted approximately 150 ornamental grass plants on our pond banks in 3 rows. It looked good and it helped to keep the pond banks from eroding. Our community landscaping crews over the years, on foot and on four-wheel vehicles, travel along our banks, spraying and defoliating indiscriminately over the ornamental plants, killing most of them. I control the weeds in my yard by spraying around the plants and not over the top of them. The first 2 rows of plants have been completely destroyed, and I have done what I can to salvage and replant the final row. We also had 2 large trees in the back edge of our property, right back here. One was blown over in a storm, and the other one died out. I asked to have the dead tree removed, and I was told it would be taken care of, and there was a plan to replant the entire strip behind the property. 2 years later, I finally removed the dead tree myself and disposed of it because it was infested with flying termites. As of today, nothing has been done to replace or replant anything on that strip. I also am at a loss as to who gave permission to the club manager and her cook to cut down foliage on our lake property, which does not belong to the club. I am unaware that either of these individuals have any landscaping expertise. And when I asked Rudy who gave them permission, he stated he did not. I know plantings have been replaced on the request of residents, and I would like the same courtesy to be extended to myself. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
I know we had spoken about this just a little bit, Keith, to get LMP out here to get a proposal on doing something.
Yes, and I have that
Okay.
received it this week. It's they're called pygmy date palms along that bank.
Okay.
And they're big 30 gallons, so it'd be almost immediate.
Okay.
But it comes with a price tag.
Then it's not buy one, get one free?
Not at this one, but next week.
Oh, okay. Tim, you haven't been forgotten. We had spoken about this several days ago, so we're going to take a look at that in just a little bit.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have Debbie Schaefer up next.
Oh, there we go.
Hi, Debbie Schaefer, 121 Melanson Court. I just have a number of things that I want to say. First, the tree in the center looks like crap when you come up. And they cleared out all these circles. We live on a circle in Melanson. And at least when it wasn't cleared out, I didn't see the weeds and all the other crap that's in there. So we're like the forgotten child down there. Nobody knows where we are, and it looks terrible. And that's all we look at. And then about this Publix going in, I think each area, like we're in the Santa Maria, I think each area needs to be at that March 8th meeting of the city council to voice their concerns. I don't know how to get in touch with each individual representative from those communities, but I think having been down to city council a number of times, if you go and voice your concerns, they do listen. And I was at the golf meeting that was here, and they voiced interest in buying the River Club, it seemed, and I wondered what that would entail. And also, I still think that the pickleball is an intrusion on people wherever you put it.
As far as the landscaping goes, we have a few proposals here, about 5 of them, I think, that we're going to be looking at today, dealing with the cul-de-sacs.
It just look, I mean,
Well, we have some proposals that we're looking at. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Deb. Next, we have Mr. Jerry Lewis.
I really need that.
I know. I don't want you to feel left out, Jerry.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Hey, Jared.
So I wanted to take a brief moment or two, it's usually 27 minutes for me, but I wanted to mention and acknowledge my appreciation to the boards. And I mentioned the boards for the collaboration efforts that have taken place. And I'll just make it real quick. Office space, which I think is absolutely critical. And I appreciate you taking this up Secondarily, community-wide standards is very important, and I know there are meetings, at least planned, if not already started, between the ACC and landscaping. And let's see, last but not least, our friends Neil's proposal for the publics, though we don't know what the residents are looking for at this point, the joint meetings that are going to take place between the boards, because I think the strategy is important. I think the willingness to work together is important for the residents of this community. And I did it in less than 3 minutes. I'm amazed.
Thank you, Jerry. Wow.
Less than a minute. Thank you, Jerry. All right, next we have Julie Shade.
Julie Shade, 153 Palazzo Court. I just want to share a couple communication issues I'm concerned about. During your last meeting, I spent 45 minutes at home looking for the links so I could zoom into your, or YouTube into your meeting. So if you're gonna do it or not gonna do it, we need to let people know what your policy is, because it feels like we're switching back and forth. I was given 3 different reasons why you're not doing it. One was a lack of ability to caption, one was Denise left with the password, and one was there's a piece of equipment missing. So I don't know what the issue is, but it does expand accessibility and communication, and I would hope that you would consider reinstating it going forward. My other concern is I'm an avid user of the water aerobics classes. I'm curious as to whether we're still supposed to be signing up for those classes or not. They open every Sunday night. About 26 people sign up, about 52 people show up for the classes. I'm not concerned about the capacity. We used to have up to 70 in the pool, but we need to know whether we're restricting it or not restricting it and what people should be doing. Finally, yesterday, my husband and I were at the pool. Every single chair was taken that was there. I think I recognized 6 people. Our pool monitor is a wonderful guy. He does a great job. He's very friendly. He makes you feel welcome, but he opens the gate for everybody that walks up. So are we sure we know who's going in and who's coming out? Thank you.
Julie, as far as the YouTube feed is concerned, we did have some problems last week. It was a surprise to all of us. We expected it to be here. We are on YouTube today, and we should be able to continue that service.
Okay, where are you sharing the link so people know?
Today, usually it comes with the agenda.
Right.
But because we weren't sure this was going to happen, this was a last minute surprise that we did have it today. In the future, there'll be a link on the agenda so that you can get on.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Next, sorry about your first name. I think it may be Jamie Stewart.
I didn't bring the sign up for that.
Okay, sorry. No worries. All right, very good. All right. That was the quickest yet. We have now Suzanne Herbst Ecker.
Hi, Sue Herbsecker, 194C Bella Vista Terrace. I have emailed all of you regarding my concerns for the River Club. I still have those same
Speak
concerns.
up, I don't think people can
Is
hear
it
you.
on?
It's on, you gotta put it close.
Closer? How's that?
Good.
As of now, pretty much everyone that's been long-term here has quit, resigned, given their notice. I don't, my husband and I come here frequently. And one of the reasons that we moved here was because of the River Club, and the community. And we have very real concerns about the lack of events, the lack of business. I mean, we do support this River Club. And if we don't start having events and we don't have the people to staff them, who is going to cover the shortfall? I think we know the reason why most of the people have left, and I've spoken to some of them, and one of the biggest reasons is Vesta. I think it's time to do something. Thank you.
Susan, we're going to be, one of the early items on the agenda is a review of a letter that was sent from Vesta to the board and included in the agenda package so the whole community can read it. dealing with some of our concerns. And we're going to go through the answers, and everybody's going to hopefully tell us how they feel about it. Thank you.
All right, and finally, signed up, we have Darlene Schimberg. Darlene, are you here? Yeah.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey, Darlene.
Is it working? Can you hear?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I wanted to ask some questions about our relationship with Rosetta. Are they being reviewed along the same process as Vesta and Castle Management? Do you review them every year, or how long has it been since we reviewed Rosetta as being a partner for the CDD?
I don't have an answer to that. Rosetta's been on board for about 6 years, 7 years. So.
And that's fine, except that, correct me if I'm wrong, but we pay their fees to Rosetta, and the salaries of the employees that are paid, that are assigned to the River Club by Rosetta, are paid through those fees. Is that correct?
No, the employee, wait a minute, the Rosetta employees?
Mm-hmm.
The Rosetta employees are paid by Rosetta,
By
through
Rosetta?
us.
Through us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like the other River Club employees are paid by Vesta.
Okay.
Through us.
We have a contract with Rosetta for district management services as well as for field management services, and then they provide, the staff.
I realize that we are trying to tighten our budget, so I believe that every position we are currently paying a salary to needs to be reviewed and taken under consideration when doing the budget. We cannot be status quo any longer. If we can cut some corners in salaries, this is a place to start. We need to go back to Management 101 and start treating this club as a business. The club is bleeding. I think it needs to take some drastic measures to get back on track. I have dealt with failing banks, home foreclosures, and worked as a state bank examiner, and we need to figure out what we need to do to get this club fixed. The first thing we need to do is inject a positive attitude to the employees, as that was completely destroyed by allowing the previous management to stay in their positions far too long. Vesta should have been given a green light so much sooner to remove the virus they were creating. We need to address any employee who does not feel this way, as this is not someone we need to keep working for us. I had an opportunity to have dinner at the River Club and meet the chef, and it was very good. He is very professional and has some great plans and ideas. Hopefully, we are going to get back on track. This season, there were only 5 tables in the dining room that were seated. The bar had some activity, but all in all, there were only 25 people here at that time. What can we do to bring the residents who are here 365 days of the year back to the River Club? And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to apologize, but we need to stop catering to the snowbirds and reach out to the people who live here all year long. Have a true happy hour, 2 for the price of 1. Offer bar bites at a reasonable price. Have an early bird special from 5 to 6. Do something to attract the people back to this club. I'm also going to bring up the pickleball courts. The residents have collected over 750 signatures of people in the community against them. I would like to know how many people are actually for them. We can't spend money to cater to a minority of residents when there'll be one located in a park down the street. We do not need another amenity that offers no revenue to the club and only offers continued upkeep expense on the back of the community. All of these expenses fall on the back of the residents and increase our CDD fees. I realize that you as a board have approved this, but that was when it was going to be located on Laurel Road and not inside the parking lot of the River Club. This should be brought back to the table and a new vote taken based on the community response. Our CDD fees are high enough, and if we keep spending, they will only go higher. Another question I have is, I know we need to replace the equipment in the tiki bar, but what is costing $250,000? Well, I will. will you respond to that in the meeting? Okay, I will.
We've reached time, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, the only one thing that rang clear to me in the last meeting was a board member who reminded all of us and you that you work for and with the residents of the Venetian. I want to take the time to thank Chairman Bracco for always responding to my numerous questions. I'm learning the ropes of this community function and appreciate his patience.
Thanks, Darlene.
Thank you.
Just one quick comment. Number of things that you have mentioned are certainly going to come up during this meeting, but the position that Rosetta has is way different from the position that Vesta has. When you speak about the service at the River Club, when you speak about food, happy hours, 2-for-1s, and this and this and this, you don't talk to Rosetta, you talk to Vesta on those issues.
Oh, I know that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that.
Just
But
wanted to
I'm
make
just
it
wondering
clear.
what part they play in this whole community and how they are reviewed by you as a board.
I think we are extremely happy with the financial services and the direction that is supplied by Rosetta. I think that Jerry is sitting in for Belinda today. Belinda is one of the most professional people that I've ever worked with.
Mhm.
Keith is on top of every issue that comes. They are both Rosetta employees. I think they do, myself, I think do a spectacular job.
Okay.
Okay.
But do we review them like we do the survey for Vesta? Do we send out something to the community that says, how do you feel the community is being handled?
No.
The common areas, do we ever do that?
No, we don't. And I think what part of the reason is most of the community would have no idea what Rosetta does. They don't. We do because we deal with them twice a month.
But we work with Keith all the time. He's part of Rosetta.
And I think he does a great job.
I'm not saying he doesn't do a good job. I'm just asking, do we do a survey the same as we do for Vesta or any place, anybody else to
We
the
haven't.
community?
We haven't in the past, but perhaps moving forward, maybe that would be
I
necessary.
mean, I just heard some complaints this morning about common areas.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to.
That's
gonna have
fine,
to stop.
that's fine.
Thanks, Darlene.
Thank you very much. Do we have any additional audience comments on the agenda at this time? All right, very good. Thank you very much, everybody. We can move on. It's going to be tab number 1 for you supervisors here in your agendas. We have the Management State of Affairs update by Vesta. This will include the review of the Vesta response letter.
Can I, we have a proposal from LMP. Can we move that up to now so that they can participate and then leave? Because
We could also,
Rudy's going to be here all day, he said, so.
we can also hear from Rick because Rick is here as well. We usually get the engineer's report early on.
So
So how about if we hear from Rick and then we'll, can we do that?
Sure, it's your choice.
Hear from Rick first and then we'll go with LMP?
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Rick?
Well, thank you. Yeah, the status of the pickleball, the revised plans were done to remove the storage shed, resubmitted to the city on February the 16th. That was reviewed by them, accepted by them, and now they had a 3-week period for their review. So I'm expecting comments maybe this week, next week at the latest. We did get the Swift Mud permit modification. That's all signed off, so we're good with that one. The ADA review of the River Club, the field work was done. I'm expecting that final report early this week.
Okay, great.
Roadway Rejuvenation. There was a City of Venice meeting. Mike Ricci and Keith attended that. I'll give you a couple highlights of what Mike sent to me, and if you want some additional info, we could defer to Mike because he was actually there. But a quick summary.
I don't know if people can hear you.
The city. Oh, the green light's off again.
Here we go. Okay, that one should last a little longer.
Okay, the city, they did this rejuvenation on roughly 70 miles of the roadways. And then during the meeting, some of the issues was the striping. When they put it down, it kind of messed up some of their striping. I did reach out to the vendor. He's fully aware of that. And now what they do is they squeegee off the striping, and that should take care of that issue. He acknowledged that, so that's how they're addressing that right now. Then there was some complaints about the odor and the sand that they put on. They put the sand on right afterwards. The next day they come back and they broom that off. But the product that goes into this is the exact same glue that they use for asphalt. So that's the odor that people smell with that.
And that's just gone in hours? Doesn't last long.
I didn't get the impression it was gone in hours. It sounded like it was a day or so
Oh, okay.
before it went.
The city did focus their work on the more recently paved roads, but I did reach out to the vendor. Our base is in good condition, so he felt very confident that the base is the key to that. So if the city has some roads with deficiencies, they're going to fix them before they try to do the rejuvenation. The site review with the asphalt, the expert and the council is Tuesday at 2:00 or 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
Wednesday.
The 2nd.
Wednesday.
Okay, is that the 2nd?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, thank you.
1 o'clock on Wednesday.
Yes.
And we're meeting in the golf club parking lot again?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, same place. Okay, that's really all I had, unless you wanted Mike to update you some more about that meeting with the city.
How many miles of road do we have?
11.
11.
Close.
I thought it was 11.
It's the bicycle, he can tell you.
Yeah,
think
I
so.
thought it was 11.
11?
Okay, I have one question. Are we still following up on this piggyback idea and sharing municipal services
Yes.
that I suggested? Okay.
Yes, the city really does not have the annual contracts, but the counties, they do. Both Manatee County, Sarasota, the county, they do.
And what about, have you met with the finance committee as far as the
What's
cost
the name?
analysis, or is that?
I did not meet with them, but I spoke at length to Jerry. Jerry was, because the day of the meeting, I had the conflict, but we did talk at length about that. And I think I will try to follow up if we could figure out the right time.
We're gonna make a date change so that it fits into your schedule. Okay. But either Jerry or Cheryl Harmon or myself will get in touch with you for that. Okay. Good. Thank you.
Okay, and see, Ken, I got a book for you.
Thank you. Thanks for putting that together.
Okay. Is there anything else for
Sure.
me?
Chairman, I have one other.
We go ahead.
Would it be possible for you to prepare a written report prior to appearing at each meeting, so we have some idea? We get this information, as of, on the date of. And so any questions that we have sometimes occur after the fact. So I think it would be efficient if we receive written reports from you prior to the meeting, and then we can follow it up with questions. That's what reports do, normally.
That's fine. Would like Wednesday before the meeting?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Effective?
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe just a little summary capsule. of
Yeah,
what
that's
you've
fine.
done.
That's fine.
Great, just a little background.
Next, Rick.
Do we give this to
I don't know.
the LMP? Give us the LMP?
Yeah, I'll give it to him.
All right, thanks, Rick. All right, so tab number 2, supervisors, you'll have the landscaping advisory committee recommendations. I believe this is going to have the LMP items that were.
LMP, guys want to come up to the front?
Morning, how you guys doing?
Good morning. For the board, I don't think there's any reason for me to read what I already sent you. There basically are 4 parts to what the landscape committee presented. The first is that we begin the work on the River Club entranceway and the parking lot, the east parking lot. We stayed away from the tennis because of the potential with the pickleball construction. Figured it was, we wouldn't want to do something and then end up tearing it out. The second part of it is the cul-de-sacs. There's 30 of them. There's no way they all can be done at one time. There were 3 different proposals from LMP for the cul-de-sacs. One for $7,245, one for $4,637, and one for $5,461. The prices on those might go down because there's a backhoe cost in each one. If we do multiple, there should be a savings, correct? That's correct. We don't know exactly how much. They wanted to do them groups of 10. I don't think we have the finances to do that.
So just, when these numbers per cul-de-sac?
Yes. Right.
Yep.
And then the third would be, we could do the balance of the cul-de-sacs over the next year or 2, depending on which plan you choose, and how much money we'll need for that. It'd be $195,000, $115,000, or $114,000 over the next 2 years to complete them all.
What, could you just briefly say what they're gonna do in a cul-de-sac?
Basically, tear out everything that's there.
Not the palms, though.
Not the palms. The palms will stay. All other vegetation will be torn out. They'll sit for about 2 weeks so that they can treat the soil to get rid of the vines and stuff that are constantly coming back. And then we would either do 3, 5, or 4, depending on which one you choose, and then do the rest of them over the next 2 years. John Tolberg has said he would give us a list identifying them in those that are most needy to those that are least needy.
They do look bad.
Some of them are really bad. I think the one on Medici Court, Mestry Court, half the bushes are gone. The ones that are there are dead. The palms look good in all of them. So that's a huge expense. So we won't be dealing with that.
And those palms are mature.
Yeah, right. So, and some of the cul-de-sacs are much newer than others, and those would be the ones that would be further down the list. We don't want to see Keith get bombarded with requests for do ours now. We'll base it on what John Tolberg says.
Rick, in the package, can you take a look? It almost appeared to me like the pictures and quotes for B and C were mixed up. Because it talked about gravel in one and mulch in the other, but if you look at the picture, it looks like what they're doing on B belongs with C. It just confused me when I looked at the outcome before and after.
You're talking about the rendering?
Yeah.
That was done?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can rely on the rendering so much.
Well, I just wanted to make sure I'm looking at.
Well, the committee recommendation was A, the one with the large rocks.
I know.
The most expensive one with the large rocks.
Right.
Their second choice was with stone on the outside.
Yeah.
And then the third choice was all vegetation, basically.
Right. So which is? Okay, the gravel is C,
Well,
is the third one.
I thought it was the middle one.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the pictures and the quotes, I think were.
Oh, they're all close.
Reverse the way.
So to be clear, what you're proposing is committing over the next 3 years to spend just over $217,000 at today's prices.
At today's prices,
And I assume a year from now, 2 years from now, that may change,
yes,
up or down.
yes. Let's guess
Well,
up.
I was trying.
Keeping optimistic.
Yes. So my primary concern is committing to a significant amount of funds ahead of having the reserve study updated, which is hopefully gonna happen soon.
Well, maybe.
Maybe. Okay, so that's another concern.
Yeah.
But I'm reluctant to commit that much money at this point in time, because I think we're gonna have other things to face. And personally, if I wanted to put that kind of money into this community right now, I'm more interested in maybe looking at the main entryway where everybody's property values benefit from having an entryway consistent with what we expect this community to be. We've already done the islands, the entryway, the roundabout here. We're gonna be doing the River Club, which I think should also be a primary focus. But to get at 30 cul-de-sacs, which frankly, in my opinion, 3, 4, 5 houses look at, for each of them, 10% of the community maybe, versus putting money into the entryway, which everybody sees along with prospective buyers and visitors. So I'm personally reluctant to spend that kind of money or commit to that kind of money.
Well, yeah, I understand that. I don't think we would be committing at this meeting to the 195, 145, 141. That would come up again at budget. And at that point, we can say yes or no, we're gonna go forward or not. Because we don't have that money to spend right now. That's, Belinda had asked that we start preparing information for the budget ahead of time. That's what this is. If we choose to start doing the cul-de-sacs, they should all be done the same way. So today, what we will be picking is which way, which diagram, which picture do you like? And then at least do 3, 4, or 5, depending on which choice you have. That's all we would do out of this year's budget. And that would come out of the money that has been left over from the Veneto project. We had over $100,000 budgeted. We were well under that in the final expense. So this isn't new money. We're not asking for a new assessment or anything else.
No.
Going forward.
But that money could also be put somewhere else.
You could split it in half and do it over 4 years, or whatever.
I'm saying the money left over from the landscape
It could be.
also be applied.
It should be used for landscaping, but it could be used elsewhere.
Seems to me that the River Club is something that we could deal with today.
Yes.
As far as the River Club renovation is concerned. And I'd like John to get involved in some discussion, and maybe he'll be at the next meeting. He should be, I think. As far as the cul-de-sacs are concerned. I don't think we can forget them at all, because even though only a few people might see them, they are something within the community, and we can't leave dying and dead bushes and whatever. That's got to be taken care of.
Yeah.
But I'd like to consider the renovation at the River Club, because as you say, that's something we all see when we drive up.
Yep, I agree with that. A question about the 3 options then, from a maintenance standpoint, which is the easiest, least expensive to maintain on an ongoing basis?
Number one, the one chosen.
Rocks?
It has boulders. It doesn't have the small stone, which we feel can be maneuvered. It also gave the best look overall. But yeah, that would be the best one. Overall, yes. All of them give a better maintenance program going forward. Given what he touched on, which is we will do the removal, we will treat these beds, we will resoil these beds, and we will allow a little bit of patience in between replanting those beds so that we have as much success as possible as we do the new planting.
What about irrigation on those?
That's included.
That's included in it.
One comment that was made at the landscaping committee meeting was that option number one, the one with the boulders, looked landscaped, as opposed to just putting in a bunch of bushes again, similar to what we have now. So I did bring up the cost. You know, they were aware of the cost.
And mulch is easier to maintain than gravel?
Yes, of course, because it can be replenished.
Not can be, it will have to be every year.
Well, that's exactly it. But what he did touch on as well, that is a overall cost with each one of them, including equipment costs. So if you do 5 of them, you're talking about a $5,000 drop over that 5 cul-de-sacs. So that isn't the total cost. The total cost will be reduced according to the quantity of cul-de-sacs that you install at one time.
And the rental of the equipment that you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so if we did, as you say, we do 5, we rent the machine once, as opposed to 5 times.
Right, then you're looking at a $5,000 minus right out.
Okay.
At least.
Well, I think we.
Rick, I had a question.
Go ahead, Belinda.
Okay, thank you. On the irrigation side, I didn't see any allowance for irrigation for the work on the River Club theme. Is Chris present? If he's present, could he confirm that the irrigation review is a part of that proposal? Because I didn't see any amount for irrigation. And on the cul-de-sacs, are they gonna review the battery operated controllers to make sure that everything's operating when they do review the irrigation prior to installation? And what's the timeline?
Yes, ma'am. I believe the battery controllers are replaced as needed on the cul-de-sacs. We didn't assume to put a cost in for new battery timers. Those are just replaced on an as-needed basis. As far as the River Club is concerned, we did an alteration to plan according to advice basically given by the landscape committee. With us going in with sod and they're already having existing spray heads along the curved areas, the irrigation should cover just fine without us having to make any sort of alterations besides cutting and capping the drip line in the existing juniper beds.
And that was one of the big things when we did Veneto with sod, as opposed to all the plantings, we didn't have to spend a ton of money on irrigation.
Well, do you want to propose the River Club?
Well, I certainly would like us to proceed with the River Club work.
Before you propose something, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so I suggested that I wanted to show you something.
Right.
This is a good time to talk about it. In getting phased up for the Tiki Hut, the pool and fitness facility group is taking a look out there with us. And I think everybody would agree that seating out there is a problem. So we believe that some landscape enhancements out there would go nicely with what we're trying to do out there. And there is a price tag of about $15,000. 15. And I'd like, there's been some comment, well, the landscape committee doesn't deal with stuff at the River Club. I think if that's true, we ought to put that to the side, and I think the landscape committee should be involved with this. So I'd like to show it to you.
Sure.
Now, there is money. I mean, you all have said $250,000 to do what we need to do out there. We're way below that. And later on in the meeting, I'm going to talk about some things that have happened the last couple of weeks that put a more positive spin on that. So there's money in that $250,000 to do the landscaping portion out there.
Okay.
So there's also some issue with, we're going to need some more furniture because there's not enough seating out there right now.
That is not a landscape.
No, I understand that, but Ernest.
I'm off the hook for that one.
No, Ernest, please.
Yeah, but that's why we're having a workshop.
Right,
between
right.
The two committees.
Right, I understand that, but there are some other things. If you've noticed, we've taken the lighting down out there. It was ugly as can be. So, we still have issues with shade out there and lighting, and we've said that's for the future. We'll get at that at some point.
So there's 15,000 anyway on the table here, more or less, about some landscaping out there. And I'd like you at least to see it.
I'd be happy to.
Okay.
But that's out of your proposed.
Well, but I'm a little touchy about it because I want you to know that we're not moving money around.
And Steve,
I want there to be full
for
disclosure.
sunshine issues, it may be easier for you to just meet with the chair of the committee.
I'm not the
So
chair.
he's the liaison.
Oh, the chair, well, okay. All right.
Then there's no sunshine issue.
Right, okay,
I can show him what your plan is.
yeah, okay,
Whichever.
all right. Well, either way, I want that, I want you to know that,
Okay.
that there's, and at least I think in most of our opinion, we need more seating out there and this proposal gets at that in a nice way.
Steve, is there anything in number 1 on the landscape committee recommendation about the River Club landscaping that would interfere with anything you're talking about?
No.
So we can vote on
No,
this.
it's a whole
We're talking,
different area.
it's all out here,
Yeah.
correct?
And the look will be pretty much similar to the first two islands, give or take.
And while we're at it, somebody mentioned the tree. I'm assuming the tree is gonna come back, it's just dormant right now?
Yeah, that's just a part of it because it's a new planting. So we've got a 3-stage fertilization program for it as well. We've also fertilized the back Bermuda grass with a 40 double zero. So it's just the cold weather that's affected these areas, but we already have a plan in place. It's plenty.
And that's on their guarantee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
the deal.
whatever audience member mentioned, that answers that question. Okay, so thank you. So we'll go out there and just take a quick look and I'll get the liaison and we'll work our way through that.
So I would recommend that we go ahead with number 1, the River Club work, as quoted.
At 23,317.50.
Yes,
That's a motion.
that's my motion.
Second.
We have a second?
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? We call a vote?
So we have a motion by Richard, second by Ken. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries 5-0.
All right, I'll make a second motion, we'll see what happens, that we proceed with the number 2 and do either 3, 5, or 4 cul-de-sacs, depending on which plan you take at this time.
I'd like to put that on the side until we hear from John Tolberg. I'd like to get some
Absolutely fine.
additional information on that. So the money's not
I
gonna
made a
go
motion,
anyplace.
that's all I did.
All right, so is there a second?
If there's no second, it dies.
Well, tell us what you're concerned about or what you want to talk to John about.
Well, John, as a professional, I want to hear what he has to say about what's needed and how many we need to do. Because if he says, really, we have 7 or 8 that have to be done now, then we're saving money by using the machine once rather than 7 or 8 times.
I've talked to John and about that very issue, and he is putting together the cul-de-sacs that he thinks need to be done first.
Okay.
And second and third. So
Right. So that's why I want
Okay,
to,
that's
I just want to hear from John.
All right, so next meeting.
Okay.
Probably. Okay, thank you.
All right, so no second, so it dies.
Yeah, so and obviously 3 doesn't move either because there's no 2.
Right. So question, when can you start?
Yesterday would be fine.
As usual, yes, we'll get to work on it right away.
Okay, and how long will it take?
For the River Club?
Yeah.
From this point, or how long will it take?
From the time you started, how long will it take?
About
About a week. How about availability of product?
Sod is always a difficult prospect. Obviously, we just got out of the cold snap, so we want to provide the best quality product we can.
Okay.
So it's just finding that purpose. Of course, we'll keep in communication with Keith and pass that information along to you as quickly as we can.
Sounds
And,
good.
Item number 4 really is just more information than anything else. I think they've actually already ordered the flowers, so.
Oh, yeah, that was nice.
But we wanted to let you guys know that, because of the frost, we lost some beds. A lot of them have done pretty well, actually. The ones around the trees.
We lost one.
Yeah, the one over by the River Club. So the next rotation will be sometime in March. Mixed colors in the major beds and then solid colors and all the others.
Right, that was about 4,000 or something like that?
Yeah.
I signed for that about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I must tell you, whatever's going on in that first bed when you come in with the change in the colors and whatever those things, looks really nice.
Okay, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, board.
right, board. So at this time, we can circle back around to tab number 1. That's going to be the review of the Vesta response letter.
I had asked that that be put on the agenda because it came in, I think, the Friday before the last meeting. And at the last meeting, we did, Ruby spoke, and we also had Ms. Angeloni here. She spoke a little bit, but I didn't think that it would be fair for us to comment on the letter until everybody had enough time to read it. So today would be a good time to do that. And in as much as I put it on the agenda, I'll give you my comments, and then I'd like my fellow supervisors to give theirs. If I had to put one word on the letter, I would say defensive. I found it to be defensive. I found it to be extremely defensive. One of the last paragraphs that's in the letter from Ginger says that she hopes it isn't defensive or minimizing. And I'll tell you the truth, I think it's both. I think that it's, there's a lot of blame going on in this letter. There isn't, in my opinion, very much of an acceptance of things that are wrong and need to be changed. You know, there's several statements in here that, in my mind, clearly blame the previous general manager, clearly blame COVID. I think there's some statements here that speak specifically about maybe bills being paid late, laying possibly some blame or pointing a finger at another employee that's here. I don't think a number of the financial issues are settled. Like Ken, you mentioned in particular in here about some of the financial issues, and I'm led to believe that those things are still ongoing.
Some are.
Some are.
I'll comment more on it.
Okay, I also have Rosetta is indicated in here, and I've been involved with Zoom meetings where Belinda was there, some of the financial people from Rosetta were there, all of Vesta's financial people were there, and we came to an understanding as to when financial reports are due. And there have been times that doesn't happen. I was really taken back by a more recent email that came from Dan Armstrong that I was given. And Dan is a CFO. He's not an accounting clerk. He's the CFO for Vesta. And he says, kind of says he didn't have time to review it. I don't find that acceptable. I find that as a slap in the face. I have to say, I think Rudy is working his tail off here. But I don't know. I'm going to say it, but I don't have anything to base it on. I don't know if they're giving this guy any assistance. We were given a presentation by Vesta months ago, and I was very enthusiastic about bringing them on. I'm one of the people that pushed to have them come. I thought, and this is me being foolish, I thought that if there were issues that Vesta could draw from other properties and help us out. That hasn't happened. I mean, we are hemorrhaging employees at this point. That's not good. If this club can't supply dinners for the people, that's the purpose of it. What are we gonna do, turn it into a storage area? This club has to operate to provide the services to the people that we are all used to. I see that becoming less and less. I get emails regarding the brunch. I get emails regarding dinners that are here. People are concerned. Key employees are still leaving. I was here Saturday for an event. 2 of our key employees, unsolicited, said to me that they're leaving. And that is very, very, very troublesome. We have a gentleman that I was introduced to last week, who's sitting in the front row. Anthony Reyes, who's gonna come on as our club manager. And I think Andy's gonna fit in very, very well here, but he's got a major uphill battle in terms of maintaining employees. I understand the job market. I see the signs all up and down 41, hiring, cooks, wait staff. I see it. I know that the food service industry is greatly impacted by everything that's going on right now. But I'm not concerned about the restaurants on 41. I'm concerned about this place. I am genuinely concerned about what's happening here and what the future is here. It's very, very bothersome to me. Rudy and I have had many, many discussions, and he shared with me things that keep him up at night, concerns that he has here. Those same things keep me up at night. I am very, very, very concerned. We are, I'm here since 2004. Other people are here longer than I am. We have some new residents that are here. I think we need to take a very, very close look, all of us. I'm speaking to the two supervisors to my right, to my left. We have to take a very, very close look at where we're going and how we're going to get there. So that's all I'll say for right now, but I'd like to hear from my fellow supervisors as to how they feel.
I'll start. I probably had the most correspondence with Ginger Anzalone, who's their regional president, Dan Armstrong, the CFO, and had multiple conversations with others of their staff on a number of issues. And frankly, I'm also concerned about the staff departures, but they are what they are. And to Rudy's credit, I think he's been working hard to get the open positions filled with what seems like on the surface pretty good success. So I'll give him credit for doing that. Like some of the other board members, I met with Anthony Reyes, who I assume will be introduced today. Sounds like he's got the right background, right credentials, and he will have his work cut out for him, but it sounds like something he can handle. If you're talking about the letter and some of the issues in the letter, I have to agree with you. I think it was overly defensive, and it kind of blew off issues that shouldn't be just blown off. I have to say this because I just thought of it and I thought it was pretty funny. If I had $1 for every apology I've gotten in correspondence from Vesta, I could buy a lobster roll now. So I had to say that. But seriously, I think there were some issues with the letter we sent to them, in all fairness. And I think there were a lot of issues with the response we got and subsequent communication. So, for example, in the letter talked about the abrupt dismissal of our former general manager. I would argue that our conversation here as a board in one of the earlier meetings didn't address so much the abruptness as the process. And the process wasn't mentioned in the letter to Vesta, nor was it responded to or brought up in their response. So I think the abruptness was maybe the wrong choice of words as opposed to the process. Again, that wasn't addressed in either letter. There were other areas that I think should be talked about because I've spent a lot of time researching some of these. And in fairness, some were clearly mistakes that, to your point about kind of dismissing some of these things as opposed to just, and I said this to Ginger and Rudy, as opposed to just saying, hey, we made a mistake, we fixed it, we're getting it corrected. They chose words that were dismissive. Unnecessary journal entries weren't unnecessary, they were wrong. Calling the check cashing incidents nonsensical. They clearly weren't nonsensical, they were real. And if you talk to the people that it happened to, they were real. And despite communications coming back saying there's no issue, there's nothing that's nonsensical, after them digging further into it, it turns out there was a problem with the vendor. And I forwarded some of that communication to Belinda and Andy, who presumably, with the expectation they would forward it to the other board members, which I couldn't. But the fact of the matter is there was a problem with the software that issued the checks and the routing numbers on the check. And it wasn't the routing numbers on the check, it was in the symbols that created a problem with readers like ATMs not being able to read them correctly and therefore rejecting them. They're getting at the heart of that. They're going to get it fixed. But again, instead of just saying, we're going to look at this, we're going to find out, we're going to get to the heart of it, digging out the facts and talking to people, they circumvented all that until they couldn't anymore, and then finally found there was a problem. So that's at least going to get addressed. On the other side of that, the issue of the buzz that's going around the community about vendor payments and late payments to vendors and vendors changing our terms and putting us on a tight leash on payment terms, all of that turned out to be false. There were no late vendor payments. There were no change in the terms from any of our vendors. The item that kept coming up was Cheney Brothers putting us from 30-day terms to 10-day terms. And that going around and around. And Chris Timmerman, a regional controller, telling me that we weren't put on 10-day terms. No, he's telling us 30 days to 10 days wasn't correct. Well, again, nobody took the time to look up the facts. All you had to do was check the vendor file, which I went and did. I looked at invoices from the last couple of months, and I looked at invoices from over a year ago, pre-Vesta. The fact is, Cheney Brothers terms are 14 days, not 30, not 10. They always were 14, they're still 14. All somebody had to do was take the time to go and research it and look up the facts. And I'm saying Vesta, or Vesta employees, should have been doing that when the issue was raised. Nobody bothered to do it. So that's a non-issue. Then unfortunately got widespread circulation saying our credit is going to be upset, tarnished in the vendor world. Well, it isn't. So things are going both ways. And her response on budget discrepancies, I have no idea what that was trying to address. I guess she was just trying to make the point that revenues were up and costs were up and everything's great. And then, when she talks about the employee benefits, that I raised a simple single instance of how our employees' benefits calculated. Well, the fact is, I didn't raise a simple question. I asked multiple questions because the actual to budget was way out of whack. And it turns out that these unnecessary entries were causing that to happen. And nobody at Vesta had dug into that. And after multiple conversations with people, they finally figured out that they were unnecessary in the first place. So semantics, I suppose. But that's getting corrected. But if it didn't take multiple weeks of checking into it, it wouldn't have gotten fixed. And I just don't understand the mentality of Vesta management. And this isn't Rudy, by the way. This is other management of if there's something there, dig into it and find out what the issue is. Get to the facts, and they just don't seem to want to take the time to do that. That's getting fixed. As they dug into that, there were issues with billing of employee salaries. So it turns out, and I wasn't aware of this, I don't know if you were, if somebody from Vesta communicated to you, that after our general manager left, To their credit, they put Rudy in as interim general manager, which is fine. And they're billing him, they're billing his cost to us for that. Checking with Andy, there's nothing wrong with that, and I don't think there is anything wrong with that. And again, to their credit, they're only charging us at the former GM's rate, not a higher rate. But at the same time, it would have been the right thing to do to communicate to at least you, to say, hey, by the way, we're putting an existing employee in, but we're gonna bill you for his time because he's spending a lot more time there than was expected, which is, again, okay. It's just a common courtesy of saying, we're gonna bill you, but we're gonna bill you at the rate. Now,
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt your flow, but yes, Ken brought that issue up with me, took a look at the contract, and basically, we are responsible for someone whose primary physical work location would be at the club. That's the employees whose not primary work location is at the club, they're not responsible.
Andy, I'm on a roll here.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So again, it's, and by the way, they've got that screwed up too, so they're gonna correct that in February. So, again, more of this is coming out. I'm not gonna go over some of the other things. Late financial statements, I'm gonna leave it, I don't know enough about that. They are meeting the contract, but they aren't meeting what they verbally committed to do. And, we will be voting on an amendment to the contract later to address that, which needs to be done. The holiday fund payroll problems we've already talked about. Again, further evidence that they're performing well on our behalf, they asked the board to consider the result of the most recent survey. Well, that survey is 6 months old now. It took 5 months to get the results of that survey. And there's lots changed in more recent times. So I don't know if that survey was worth the paper that was printed on. It was printed eventually. I think that's about it. Again, I give Rudy credit for stepping in and working as hard as he has been to get the local staffing issues resolved. And I look forward to new members of the staff coming in. I think there's some upside here. We can't undo what was done. So more importantly, we've got to manage properly what's coming up in the coming months. And if things don't improve over the next 60, 90 days, we may have to look at some other kind of change. So I'm open to all things, but I want to give them the opportunity to do what they're saying they're going to be able to do.
Thanks, Ken.
Just so I don't interrupt anyone else's role. We have, just so the board knows, we have just confirming, we have a 60-day termination for
Correct.
All right, any additional feedback on the response letter?
Well, I'm not going to go back a year ago, but I, with counsel, prepared the letter that went out, okay? And in response to a legal letter, I expected something more poignant as it relates to this is our plan. They haven't outlined what the plan is to address these concerns that we brought up. So that makes me somewhat concerned. But I listen to people here in the audience as well as up here. And one thing there's a constant, our employees, contrary. They're not our employees, they're Vesta's employees. And that's probably one of the problems that has precipitated our relationship with Vesta. Certain employees feel they have inroads to the board. I have to be careful what I say. Again, rumors, facts, and actual fiction. I don't know what exists. You hear all these things going on and all, and now I hear that from what you're saying, Ken, that we were provided some fake news, if you would. I think we need to just stand back, let them manage. I mean, we tied their hands from the beginning by saying they brought their own manager here that first day. And we said, oh no, we got the best person here, okay? And we don't want your part. We need to, at this point, stand back, let them manage. Let's see if they have a plan. And if they don't rise to the occasion, they'll rise out of here. And that's all. That's it.
Steve, Richard, any further feedback?
I think Ken and Richard pretty much nailed it. I thought it was somewhat dismissive, but I'm willing to give them some time. I think we need to give them some time. I think what happened with the tennis, what I'm hearing from the tennis, there's always problems with tennis at the Venetian, that's a given, but the new guy is doing a very good job. I'm hoping the new guy here will do a good job, and we'll get going forward. But it's got to be a short time frame, Rudy. It's not going to be 6 months, I guarantee it. At least if I'm reading the tenor of this board, you guys don't have 6 months. That's all I have to say.
How are we going to judge improvement? If we were to say, look, we want to see marked improvement in 30 days, what measure are we going to use to judge that? Well, retention of employees, reestablishment of functions at the River Club, what are we going to do?
Revenue?
Revenue? Okay.
I'd like to take a crack at your comment. I think comments from our residents, we hear more negative comments about food than positive comments. So a turnaround in positive comments about food, a turnaround in terms of employees being satisfied working here, and some positive outcomes out of that. And I think just an overall intuitive feeling. I mean, we're hearing two sides of every story, and we all know there are probably four sides to every story. So I think in the main that in 30 days or whatever the increment of time is, and I do think it's going to take a little bit of time, some better comments about what's going on here, because I attended a function here recently, and not only was the function not good, the follow-up afterwards was not good. So, and I think that we'll know. I think intuitively we'll know. Now, is intuitive good enough than concrete? I don't know the answer to that. But, I just have one other comment, if I may. I find it interesting that Belinda couldn't be here today, but Jerry showed up today. Without anybody asking, I'm assuming on our end. And Ginger wrote us this letter, and there was plenty of emotion over the last month. I don't happen to see Ginger anyplace in the audience. And with all this uproar going on, you'd think that if she sent a letter to us, she may have been wise enough to be here today. And I don't know the reasons, I'm just making that observation.
That's a good observation. I asked Rudy earlier.
Yeah.
She was going to be here.
The other part of it is a lot of things were said here today, and I agree with everything that was said. I voted for the change on Vesta. Originally, I wasn't going to vote that way, but I voted for the change because I thought change would be good for us and that we would be able to do some things. Quite honestly, I think all we've had is chaos over the last many, many months. And you know, look around. We're all of a point in our lives where we don't want chaos. We want positive, good things. So, and I will say, I haven't had the interactions with Rudy, but from my viewpoint, Luce, you've really tried here, and I'm personally appreciative of that. Whether you can get there all the way, I don't know the answer to it.
I also had the opportunity to interview the potential new individual, and I was impressed. I thought you had the right attitude, the right demeanor, and I'm hopeful.
He hasn't walked out yet.
Well, he got an earful, I suspect, from all of us.
Well, what are we looking for as a board? We should set up some goals or factors to hold the management company to.
That's what
Okay, I would
say.
think,
What
I would say.
what measurement are we going to use? I think I almost have daily conversations with Rudy, more than I think the other board members do. And often in person. Sunday night, Rudy called. So the weekends, I'll say again, I think the guy is working very, very hard. I think he's trying. And, but speaking on behalf of the entire community, I don't know if that's enough. I want to see Vesta step up or step out. It's as simple as that. You know, Lee Iacocca, lead, follow, or get out of the way. And step up or step out. And I mean that completely in every way. It's bothersome to me. Reading the letter, and I'll just refer again, you know, that there was no communication and all of that stuff, as Ginger says, and I think that's nonsense. But early on, this board will recall that there was some difficulties getting getting hold of the management funds, right? And Vesta blamed it on the previous company, Icon. Icon isn't forthcoming. They're not giving us the information on and on and on and on and on. This banged around for 6 or 8 weeks. Nobody knew where the management fund was, where the account was. I called Bill Bauer, or sent an email to Bill Bauer, who's the president of that division of Icon, saying, Bill, I need to know where's the bank and what are the account numbers? Because Vesta said they couldn't get this information, that it was like locked away in the Vatican someplace. Within 45 minutes, I had both account numbers and location of the bank. Now, why did it take me to do that? Why? And Roy Deary was aware of that. And Roy Deary apologized again and again and again. When I asked Vesta some time ago to prepare, just give us an overview. Where are we? Where are we going? And how are we going to get there? If you refer back to that, there were several statements made about some of the speed bumps they hit, some of the mistakes that they made early on. So, I mean, it was well noted. It was well documented. It was discussed. We're still dealing with issues that are affecting the management of this club and running of this club in a way that we expect it to run. So if we're going to come up with some sort of a tool, a gauge to measure the progress, I'm fine. But I'll say again, it's for me right now, it's step up or step out.
Well, to me, the gauge is usage. Are more or less people using the amenities? Whether it's tennis, dining, tiki hut, fitness, I mean, the standard use is there. We don't have any benchmarks. As part of the Strategic Planning Direction Committee, we've been trying to get benchmarks that we could use. I can't get any demographics. I can't seem to get from anybody demographics about the community. I can't get usage numbers of the various amenities here. So we have a basis for comparison a year from now, 6 months from now. Are things better or worse? To me, if people are coming here to eat more, that means it's got to be pretty good. I'll use the golf club as a comparative. You know, under Lennar, the members hated the way things were going. And right now, I can't get a dinner reservation.
That's right.
because so many people are going to the club. I got to make it 2 weeks in advance just to get in for dinner. We wish the grill room was open. They closed Sunday and Monday. It's like, Why? There's, the usage is up, the membership is climbing dramatically. They've already gone up on initiation fees because they're getting so many new members. So it's all because Heritage is coming in, they're doing the right things. You already can see some of the things they're doing with the golf course. It's good. We didn't see that when Vesta came in. The same staff was here, which is fine. I don't have a particular issue with that, but it became business as usual. That staff, I don't think, got any more and possibly less support than they were getting before. So if things were to change, if Rudy's talking about things that we've been talking about for a long time, about doing more analysis of operations, more analysis of events, more analysis of outside events, are they profitable or not? Staffing and how best to staff up. What do we want to be? I don't think we as a community, we know what we want to be. And we've had a lot of discussions in the strategic planning committee about this. Do we want formal dining, informal dining? How do you break that up? You've got different parts of the community you have to cater to. Well, you should know that. More work has to be done to kind of figure all that out. And it's been almost a year since they've been our management company. And frankly, I don't think they gave the former staff the support to figure those things out that they needed. Now there's new staff with different backgrounds, different education, maybe different ways of doing operations analysis to figure some of these things out. And that's what we need to give them a little time to do. But the fact of the matter is, if in 60 or 90 days, you've got a new chef, is the food a lot better? If it is, believe me, word of mouth is all you need around this community. People will start coming.
And that works in both ways too.
Yes.
And
Shouldn't part of the answer to your question be, if this new gentleman is going to come on as our new club manager, shouldn't Vesta be charged with giving us the answers to your question?
in terms of how we're going to measure this.
How we're going to measure this? Isn't that part of their responsibility?
I don't,
Or
maybe we
I
should
don't
be
see
setting
that.
some goals.
Yeah, we should.
Because, we're responsible to the community.
Yes.
And we're the ones that Rudy gets his share of emails, I know.
Sure.
I understand that, but we're the ones that are questioned and legitimately so by our residents.
Well, I don't think we're going to solve the answer to your question in this meeting. So, and if maybe we need a sit-down session with the right people to just focus on that very issue. I wanted to ask, if I may, I've been under the impression that this food operation is the sole biggest food operation that Vesta has. Is that correct, Rudy?
No, it's not.
What else does Vesta have for food operations?
So I'm, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So I also manage Kings Point in Sun City Center. It's a community with 6,000 homes and 9,000 residents. And the gross revenues from food and beverage alone is $1.7 million.
Okay.
So that is the largest food operation in the country.
Okay, and after them?
And then there's a series of, I think, 7 or 8 other clients that average between $500,000 and $700,000.
Okay, so we're
You're right there at the top.
at the top.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how do you measure success at Kings Point?
It's usage, you touched on it. It's usage, it's the experience in terms of the customer's experience and the employee experience.
And if we went over that-
aligning our goals with your goals and objectives, which I think Supervisor Booker touched on. So there's a whole framework that we can put in place in order to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish.
So where are we gonna go?
Well, I'd like to see the framework. I mean,
Well, we would have to have a collaborative discussion about what your expectations are. I know what mine is, and I'd like to know what yours are, so we can align those objectives moving forward.
We could set up a workshop, if you wanted, between the board and invite whomever you thought was necessary for Vesta.
Could do that.
Yeah,
I would like to see,
Yeah.
I want to see the bleeding stop. You want to see the bleeding stop in terms of employees. I mean, we had a guy last week that lasted 5 hours. That's horrid. I mean, there's a guy that has no influence from the previous general manager or anybody else and left after 5 hours. We had a gentleman that chose to stay in his current position rather than come here, though he was interviewed and fully vetted by Vesta. After taking another look at it, he decided he wasn't going to come here. I think he was offered more money, and that's certainly a factor. I checked to see if Anthony left his car running when he came into the meeting, and he shut it off and locked it, so that's a good sign. But you hear what I'm saying? You know, I'm not trying to minimize this in any way at all. This is a major problem facing this community, and it's no big secret where some of, and I'll say our employees, but you know exactly what I'm talking about, some of Vesta's employees, it's no big secret where they're going.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no big secret. There's several of them at the golf club.
Sarasota National and the golf club.
Well, there's several that are at the golf club right now, and there's a couple more that are going. Why is that attractive? Why is Heritage attractive? They pay more money? Is it stability? Is it benefits? What is it? I don't know, but that's a reality that we all know.
Funny, it used to go the other way.
It used to go the other way. It used to go the other way, yeah. But it's a concern. So, you know, I'm getting the feeling that from my fellow board members that what you want to say is we need a little more time. That's what I'm hearing.
No,
And Ernest, am I wrong?
well, we know what the basis is. You know, retention of employees, providing good service. I mean, we can outline those things today. We don't need to have a meeting. We get all the emails, all of us do, and we know what the complaints are. We can outline those in form less than probably 10 points and serve it on Rudy and say, these are the items that must be corrected or adjusted in the next 60 days.
So
are
you saying what I said, step up or step out?
Yes. I said that from the beginning. You rise to the occasion or rise out. Maybe I said it, that's what I said. But if they know they need to give us a plan and we need to make certain demands on them. Okay, and we can do that. We know what the issues are. It's no secret.
So,
okay, the issues are, I'll go down. Retention of employees, 1. Okay. Quality of food, 2. Let's see.
Reestablishment of planned events.
Workplace atmosphere, hostility in the workplace atmosphere, 3. These are things that we should all chime in. Maybe we need to open up the floor again to the public, and they could add some other suggestions.
I would like to get it on emails from people if they have suggestions, but we're sort of spending a lot of time on this one.
Well, we want to correct this problem, so I think it's worthwhile. Okay, so that I would open it up, but
They need to be measurable.
Yeah.
Goals.
goals.
The quality of food.
Okay, well, retention of employees, 1.
Yeah, usage. We need.
Wouldn't the quality of food
though.
though generally, wouldn't your usage tell you yes or no?
That's the measurement is usage to me.
Usage,
Right.
Usage, okay.
But we need a baseline.
Yeah, that's what
What's
we're
been
doing.
the uses for the last several months and what's it gonna look like going forward? And then, again, fact-based.
Transparency.
All positions fully staffed?
Transparency. Okay, from the top, not so much Rudy, from his seniors.
Every one of us here, one way or another, has indicated that Rudy is working very, very hard. You can't take that away from the man. He's working very hard. As I said last night, he called me at 6 o'clock. It's Sunday, right? We were on the phone this morning at 8:45. I have contact with Rudy many, many times during the week, sometimes more than once a day. The guy is working. There's no question in my mind about that. The question in my mind is, how much support is he getting behind?
True.
That's my question.
I think also there's a stigma here now. You know, we, for whatever reasons, and there's lots of them, we've created a negative atmosphere with lots of things here. With employees leaving, with the food not being good, with events not happening, and overcoming that stigma is an obstacle for us.
Well, that's in the community. That isn't necessarily among the employees.
But, well, it's both ways. Well, we don't know that yet. I mean, for some reason, 2 employees that were brand new that was spoken about didn't last long. So I'm not sure what's going on with that.
You don't think people talk, or I just, employees talk, okay? And if they are upset, you know, they can affect your, what's going on as it relates to retention of other employees. Come on, I mean, I sometimes, this is the real world.
Of course.
Okay, come on. I mean,
Talking
they're
about
talking to each other, and they,
the new employees.
I mean, new employees talking to older employees. Certain people have agendas, okay? And they are, you know, let's poison the well, okay? But we can't be naive about this.
Then they should be
Okay, that's where I
terminated.
get, you know, someone get upset. So again, we can address this today. We don't need to wait, come back and all. We can address it today. And you know, while we're here, because I want to know what you think. I think that then we have this whole sunshine law tobacco. You know, you can't talk to people at all. So let's do it now.
Okay, so start us out.
Again, start with retention of employees. How can we do that? One.
How much time are we talking about? We're talking about 30 days? We want to see an improvement within what period of time?
Well, I would say 60 days.
60 days.
60 days. 60
days
days,
is
it connects with the contract. So I would say 60 days. If they get new employees and, you know, new employees are coming in and all of a sudden they start leaving, then there's a problem. Okay, so that could be one of our objectives. And what?
Can we get some
tie in
additional data,
revenue?
Rudy?
Tie in revenue.
I'll talk to Paul about it. I'm not familiar with the technology that you use to track that sort of thing. I believe the information exists.
I gotta believe it.
Yeah, I would think so, but we'll dive into that.
Okay. I'm surprised that somebody hasn't put.
They haven't, we haven't seen that kind of matrix in the past. I'm not sure if that is information they looked at in order to forecast or do any sort of, you know, productivity studies, but those are the types of business intelligence that we need, so we can know what direction we're heading in.
Yeah.
We'll look into that.
Okay, let's go back. We still working on retention of employees. I mean, increasing usage by the residents, okay, tied into revenue here at the River Club.
Reestablishment of menu meals as opposed to buffets?
Yes, absolutely.
Reestablishment of we constantly hear about the Sunday brunch.
Oh, yeah.
Reestablishment of the Sunday brunch with omelet stations that people, because that's a biggie. I know that's a biggie. Reestablishment of that?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Somebody's taking notes on it.
Timeline for when these will be accomplished?
60 days.
Communication with the community? You think that's a?
Yeah, that's.
Communication with the community?
Yes, you're right.
Well, can Vesta communicate with the community without going through us?
Yes.
Yeah, sure, they put it in the they put out the newsletter.
So we were getting a communication from the general manager. We get great communications from the community association and all that. This has come up again and again and again. And I know there are some employee issues with getting that communication out, but we have to find another avenue. We got to find another avenue to communicate with the residents. So I would want that on the
Yeah,
list
absolutely.
as well.
Because that reflects on us.
Jerry, you writing these down?
I did, yeah. A reconciled list with a 60-day consideration would be, to improve the keeping employees, food quality, workplace atmosphere, usage, and to establish a baseline for usage, transparency from the top down with the consideration of communication to the residents, menu meals versus buffets, and then the reestablishment of Sunday brunch are what we've touched on so far.
Got anything else?
Anything financial? Ken, you're a finance guy. Anything you
Well, how
can
about
look?
these financial issues that we have?
I assume, yes.
Let's, they
Those
say
need to be resolved.
resolution of the financial issues
Yes.
that have been discussed, employee checks. I hope everybody realizes how important an issue that is.
Oh, yes.
Our employee, I'll say our.
The employees.
Many of the employees that we have are week to week. They're living week to week. Let's call it what it is. And to go to the bank and be told that you can't cash your check. Not that,
Christmas check. Okay, yeah, let's be clear, Rich.
Well-
And fair.
Yeah, wasn't there?
It's not
wasn't there
payroll checks.
check?
No payroll checks have been an issue.
well, that time,
Well,
It was the
but that's how
holiday-
things get out there and get raw.
Yeah.
that
It
time
was
of
the
year
holiday
especially.
bonus checks and some offline payments out of the normal payroll system that caused the problems.
So we
just
want
Keep it
to,
in perspective.
we want to have a resolution of that. Whether it's the coding on the checks or whatever it is, we need a resolution. They're working on it, but until you say to me that it's done, I won't know that. Right? And adhering to the 20th of the month for the financials, 18th of the month for the financials to Rosetta, we need that. It's gotta be something. Okay, we have some things on there, and 60 days. We'll continue to revisit this, and if there isn't a marked improvement within 60 days, then we'll take another look at where we're going.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we establish that list and have it sent to all of us, sent to Rudy. Andy gets a copy, everybody else. And that we set a 60-day limit for revisiting that. And if there isn't marked improvement, that we reconsider our relationship with Vesta Management.
One other thing we should add, back office support for Rudy.
I don't know if we have control over that, but I
should suggest
Or how
it.
you measure it.
Yeah, I think that's
Well,
up to Rudy.
we can talk all one, but if he's not getting it from Vesta.
Well, if he's not getting it, then these
Then
things won't get done.
okay.
I'm assuming, Rudy, you're gonna input some things to them on that list.
Yeah. Andy, how does that get structured? Do you send me a draft? Do we collaborate on that? I'm not sure how that,
The list,
the list.
Well, the Jerry list.
what needs to be conveyed, I mean, I could send a letter with the list.
Well, let me help a
Linda's
little
actually
bit.
texted me the same question.
Okay, so let me, what I heard Rudy say is that there are some other things from other experience that may be worthwhile to put on this list, and I'd like you to have that input into this.
So,
go ahead, please.
No, you say Linda sent you a text saying how we're gonna do that? I think we have to send.
So this
A
question
formal
of,
communication.
do you want a letter from me to go to Vesta? Do you want a letter from district management to go to Vesta? We obviously need to convey this.
I think it needs to come from you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way.
And at the same time, also, Belinda's suggestion, I can send, assuming you approve it, the addendum as well and ask for their signature.
The
Just a
addendum
little
to the
bit further
contract?
down our
Yeah,
agenda.
sure, yeah.
I think
So
some of
you'll
these
get
things,
the list.
I mean, I've
I'll
got a
take my own
problem
notes.
with, especially if they go in a letter, Andy. I don't know how you measure quality of food. I don't know how you measure workplace atmosphere other than retention of employees.
Well, that one's easier. Retention of employees.
Okay, but
quality of
we've got
food.
retention of employees, we don't need
Quality
both.
of food, I think, is usage, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, let's stick to things that we can measure, not put all these other things in there that we can't measure.
I don't know, our
Quality of
residents,
food,
our residents
can't
seem to know when it's good and when it's not good.
but it's anecdotal.
I know, I understand that, but there are constituency.
I get feedback from the same dinners and lunches from people, some say it's great, some say it's awful. So,
That's true.
I know, I appreciate that, but this is our constituency telling us the food's good, the food's not good. I
if
mean,
it's not good, they won't come back.
well, but you know, in the same vein, there was a steak night here that everybody raved about. You got not one complaint about that. I think that means something. So I agree, it's very subjective, but maybe we should at least be willing to listen and hear it.
Of course, we're going to do
Okay.
that. I'm just saying, I don't think you can
I
put it in a letter, a legal letter.
You can put reestablishment of menu meals.
Yes.
You can put reestablishment of the
Omelet
Sunday
station.
brunch, the omelet station.
Anything measurable, factual, I would
And-
agree with.
Because the reason I mention those, and I hate to keep bringing up food, but that's what we hear.
Right.
We hear that the folks
I
are
agree.
measuring their
Dining.
satisfaction based upon food service,
Yeah.
food,
Well,
variety.
we never heard, I got a lousy omelet, but we've heard the scrambled eggs were watery.
Yeah, that's, no, but I don't see the necessity of sending out a legal letter on these issues. We should do it by way of motion. These was formally passed by the board and send it to them. We don't need a legal letter for, to address these issues.
Well, no, it's just matter who sends it out.
Right, that's why I asked the question, either it come from Belinda or it could come from me.
But I would say, Linda, you saved the hammer. Well, in litigation, you say
We'll save the tough guys for
litigation, we
later.
save the hammer till later.
Oh, okay.
And that's the hammer, the lawyer, come on.
That's the point.
So the letter would come from district management?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes,
All right.
okay.
And then, so there was I just noticed there was one thing from the letter about late vendor payments, and we didn't have any criteria discussed as far
Okay,
as
so
that
that
goes.
That was off
That was
the
a
table.
non-issue.
There were no late vendor payments that anybody's aware of.
That was a fake news.
Okay. How did all that get started, or is it just,
I have no idea.
okay. I think I know, but, okay.
Do we have any further discussion on the Vesta response?
Well, before we leave the Vesta subject, I do think that this board needs to make a motion to approve the general manager if that's your inclination.
No, we're not approving a general manager. We're not. We're hiring a club manager. I think approval of a general manager is going to be next.
Okay.
And as far as this letter goes, I do have a motion from Supervisor Chairman Rich, and then I have
I'll
a second.
second it, I'll second it.
Yep, and then so I can call for all those in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries.
We have that motion on the next agenda.
And we're going to deal with the amendment.
Yes, that's further down the agenda. We can take it up now. It's up to you.
Yeah, why don't we do it now, because we're dealing with Vesta at the same
All
time.
right, so that's going to be tab number 3 in your agenda, supervisors, for the consideration of the addendum outlining the requirement for financial reporting and timelines. Andy, if you want to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, I was not present at the last board meeting. Regina was, but I do know, obviously, the history behind this with regards to, and it's evident in the letter exchange as well, that the contract itself gave them a longer time frame than what we all agreed to in a conference call. And so it was addressed, as we said, in the letter exchange, and this is simply to confirm our discussion that Rosetta needs the financials by the 18th in order to appropriately prepare what they need for the district. So this memorializes that.
And I think it's important to note, and Jerry could probably verify this. This isn't the only club that Presenta is providing financials to. I believe you provide them to 100 organizations. So that again is stressing why those numbers need to be in, because you're dealing with 100 organizations, not just one.
And I did run this by Belinda. She's actually had made one change, which is incorporated in here. I had it as the 20th, and she rightfully so made it the 18th so that they had time to turn it around.
Okay. Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve that amendment.
Second.
All right, so I have a motion by Rich, second by Richard. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
No
opposed?
discussion.
All right,
So Jerry, you'll transmit that with the list,
yes, I will.
is my understanding.
Okay.
All right,
Take a break.
Yes, yes.
so that carries
Yeah.
5-0.
Jerry, can we get 10 minutes?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So,
Thank you.
all right, we're gonna take a
Replay the Super Bowl.
All right, we're back on the record here. 6A. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and circle back around to business item A that was on the agenda here. This is gonna be consideration of the joint workshop between the Facilities Advisory Committee and the Fitness and Pool Advisory Committee. So Supervisor Booker, I don't know if you wanted to say anything to this one?
Yeah, I was, after meeting with my pool and fitness committee, there is concern about the landscaping as well as the physical plant outside for the tiki bar and its effect on the pool itself. And so I think it would be, well, it would be great if we could get together with a committee to discuss the new plans and all, and suggestions that some of my committee members have to be implemented and so forth.
Agree, but I would like to add the landscape committee, because there's some landscaping issues out there that I'd like the landscaping committee to weigh in on. So could we be okay?
I have no problems with that, but it was my understanding that the landscaping stopped at the front door and it doesn't go into the interior parameters of the fence.
That was pretty much the way the other general manager wanted it, but I think going forward,
You want to do it? Okay.
I think it would be beneficial to include them.
Yeah.
And we'll get it done in one fell swoop.
Well, can we do this? Because we only advertise for the facilities and fitness. Can we add the landscaping as well? Or should we open it up to the public and then come back out and then say landscaping?
When is this happening?
Probably the 15th or 14th or 15th of March.
So you haven't added any, you haven't placed the ad yet? That's my question.
No, Nancy,
It's at, the ad is out.
No, Belinda says the ad is not.
No,
No, it's not?
no, we haven't run the ad. I'm not sure if you saw Carrie's email, Supervisor Booker, the earliest you could have a meeting is March 11th. So we need to decide on a date and day so that we can run the ad.
Okay, my chair lady.
yeah, can we recognize the chair?
Sure.
We set up the time for the meeting in order to allow enough time for the advertisements. So we saw Belinda's suggestion as to the 11th as the earliest, which is why we are suggesting this meeting for the 15th, which gave us enough time. We just have to change the drafting of the actual.
And now you want to have the landscaping committee participate as well, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Then yes,
So it's
we'll
10
make the ad fit that.
So the ad has been set up for 10 o'clock on Tuesday. I believe it's the 15th of March.
That's the day that you had asked me to solicit, and we said that was a good day for at least some of our members.
Right.
Okay.
So then
what time?
We'll place the
10
ad
a.m.
to include all
at
three
the River Club.
committees.
If that's okay with Ernest, I mean.
Yes, it's fine.
Okay.
What's the date again, please?
March 15th, 10 a.m. at the River Club.
It's a Tuesday.
And I suspect the meeting will take an hour at the most,
At the
Ernest?
most.
At the most.
Okay.
Because I think we're all pretty much in agreement with.
And the fact that the agenda just mentions the two, that's fine.
Okay, I think that'd be awesome.
So we're good to go with that? 15th is good?
Yes.
Motion. To make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, so I have a motion by Ernest, second by Rich, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck.
All right, very good. So we can skip ahead here after the items we've already discussed. This is going to be business administration items, tab number 4. It's going to have consideration of the minutes of the Board of Supervisors meeting that was held January 24th, 2022.
I have no additional changes.
Supervisors, if you don't have any additional.
I move the acceptance.
All right, so we have a motion by Ken.
Second.
Second by Richard, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. All right, tab number 5. This is going to be consideration of the O&M expenditures for the district for the month of January 2022. We can see if we have any questions.
I actually have a question, board members, and I didn't have a chance to discuss it with Belinda, but I see the Blade Block Walters, PA law firm on there for an audit letter, $434.50. I wasn't sure what that was about. I don't believe they're doing any work for the district.
They did previously. I wonder if they billed late. That's where we had the mediation, right?
Oh, was he the mediator?
I believe.
That has to do with the hydraulics bill ending.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was the mediator for the hydraulics bills.
Perfect. Thank you. That answers my question.
Correct.
Any other questions about the O&M?
I had called Belinda about the two $1,375 charges by Lynx Sign Tech Inc. And those are 2 mailboxes that were replaced. They're totally replaced. They couldn't be welded. I just thought maybe it was a
That was
duplication.
down here, right?
One was on Montaluna and I don't know where the other one was.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
It couldn't be replaced. Well, it couldn't be fixed.
Right. Had to be replaced.
Had to be removed from the grill of the car to hit him.
Okay, I have a question. Traffic court repairs. Okay, we own them, traffic clock. I didn't think you said.
Board, yes. And the guards put it out at various times throughout the week.
Okay, and the POA gets benefit.
But they are the
They do the
issuing.
enforcement.
Yeah, okay. All right. And then one other question. I see we have legal advertising in Gainesville, son.
I was a little surprised at that too.
Yeah, why would we advertise in Gainesville?
I think Belinda could probably clarify it, but I think it's a conglomerate. Like, I think they own like 10
Several newspapers.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the issue.
Well, is that true, Belinda?
That's correct.
What papers are they?
So they own Tampa paper?
No, what paper are the ads in?
Oh, the Herald
Yes,
Tribune.
they do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Within the personal column?
Is that the one?
No, I don't remember that.
I've seen that happen before.
Right, they're in the Herald Tribune, aren't they, Belinda?
Okay, I have no problem then.
Belinda?
Yes.
With the poodles per se?
Okay, then if there aren't any other questions, I'll make a motion that we accept the O&M for January 2022.
Second.
Very good. I have a motion by Rick, second by Ken. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, so we'll move on to tab number 6. So this is the acceptance of the advisory committee meeting minutes. We have 3 there. If there's no questions, we're looking for a motion to accept and file.
And that's for all 3. I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Rich, second by Richard. All in favor?
Discussion first.
Okay.
Open that
Okay.
one up for
All in
discussion.
favor?
All in favor?
No, I do it. So it's the right way to do it.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, and we can move on to staff reports. First up on staff reports.
We're gonna look at the financial statements.
Yeah, we can absolutely address the financial statements. If you guys want to do that in the district manager report, or we want to jump that up on the agenda.
Oh, is it on there already?
That's just typically when I do it in.
Okay, just as long as we do it, a couple questions, a couple statements.
Very good, okay. So at this time, we have Andy for the district council report.
I have a couple items just to follow up on. The one is that I know at the last meeting, the board authorized preparation of a draft lease with the POA for some office space. So I have been working on that. One of the potential issues that I'm sorting through is with your bond counsel. So Vesta Finance needs to give them some finance numbers. We just need to make sure, which I don't anticipate being a problem at all. Because I know that it's not a lease for $1 million, that it's just a minimal amount, but we need to make sure that we don't do anything that jeopardizes the tax exemptness of our bonds at the River Club.
Okay.
So that's one item that's part of it. I do have a draft of the lease that I will get distributed. And I know that we're waiting on a proposal from the general contractor.
We had a meeting with him this past week, And that, you have the proposal, Keith, from him, the original one? Or do you want me to get another one from him?
I can get it. I have it
No, if
on.
you could just send it
We
to
have-
me.
Okay.
Because I want to forward, I think the board's direction was to forward that with the lease.
Yeah, we have it. He looked at things with us. I think there are still some issues on who goes into what office. And Rudy, the tennis pro, had some issues a little bit. We told him he needed to talk to you. Did he have a chance to convey his concerns?
I'm actually meeting with him this afternoon, so.
Okay.
that's what he's-
All right, yeah, we had I think all the right people in the room. And of course, taking that area, he's concerned about some issues, and we suggested he think about it a little bit and get with you.
Who's gonna make the final decision of who goes where?
Uh,
This board,
This
correct?
board, sure,
All right,
yeah,
so-
yeah, all we're trying to do is create two offices in there. Who goes where is up to you.
Okay, I think there are some people, are there
Yeah.
some people in your committee that are telling people where they're going?
The only person that I know that said this can go here, this can go here, has been Keith and I. I don't think anybody else. Nobody on that committee should be making any decisions. I think the board makes the final decision.
Okay, I want
Yes,
to make
they
that clear.
The obstacle about storage and file cabinets, I don't think that's an issue anymore. I think
That was clarified.
that's been taken care of.
It went from 20
Yeah.
cabinets to 2, something like that.
Okay.
What will come out of this, if the board says yes and everybody signs the leases, 2 additional offices in that pro area.
Okay, so I'm working on that. I'll get the proposal from Keith and we'll get that over to the POA for their review.
Okay.
The next
Can I
item.
make a point, just a point of information here on that last question? This board decides who goes in which position?
If not us, who?
Yeah, somebody's got to do it. The parties, between Vesta and the POA, they can't work it out. I'm surprised it has to come to the board.
Rosetta's involved in this as well. There are a couple of Rosetta.
Yeah,
members there.
fine, the parties that are involved. I mean, unless they have a problem with it, they can't resolve it, then I can see it being raised to the board, but.
We certainly can get a proposal from the committee, to get an idea. That's fine.
Unless some of you know more than I know, I think the only issue that's causing some concern is what's the pro shop gonna look like when it's said and done? I think that's workable. And then who commingles with who? That may be a little bit of a, but I think in the main, from what I can understand, everybody is okay with this. Do they love it? No, but it's the right thing to do. I mean, Keith, are you hearing anything different?
You know, we just need to, I had a chance to talk with Paul last week, the tennis pro, about the offices and, you know, who's gonna go where, or those type of things. He was, you know, and I'll just throw it out there, where we were thinking is the POA go into the new offices. All right, those 2, they'll have the new space. Myself will go into Mary Ann's office. Mary Ann come down here to this end, and then all basically the food and beverage and everything is down on this end for the River Club. And then Catherine, we'll reconfigure that office that she's in with the maintenance guy, take the towels out of there. Paul and I are looking for a different place to put the towels, and we kind of move the maintenance guy over there where the towels are, get a divider up, and make that an office rather than, you know, and all the tools that are in there go to the shed, and they'll have their workspace, and it'll be a little more conducive to that. And I think that facilitates everybody. And we're at that end. Residents can come in that far door, and that'll be the ADA door. And so it's a.
So this is just for clarity in the lease as to the square footage that's being leased out.
Well,
I don't have an exhibit yet. I've only prepared about a week.
That was just what we had discussed, whether, if that's,
I don't think that, Andy, the lease is not gonna designate who goes in what office.
No, square footage. How much square footage they're leasing?
I need a description of,
What they're
Well,
leasing.
then we better decide who's going where sooner than later, because those final decisions haven't been made.
I was there as well, and I concur with what Keith said. We all talked about it, that's what we all discussed, and we're happy with it
I have a problem with that.
as well.
Can we settle that right now?
It's a collaborative effort, I have no problem with.
if someone just gets me an exhibit, I'm just, stapling it to the lease.
Well,
I'm not picking where people go.
Let's,
No, you have to delineate in the lease.
well, let's settle it right now, who goes where then. Are we ready to do that?
Who are you talking, organization?
I think Keith's suggestion is fine. It seems to be agreeable with all the folks there. That's fine with me.
That's the proposal that we'll send to the POA and start the conversation.
Okay.
Could I have a question, a point of order, please? I'm not sure where the club manager, Chris, that resigned, where is he going? I haven't seen the plan.
Chris, he has an office right there still.
Those don't get touched. The general manager's office and the food and beverage manager's office
They
don't
stay.
get touched.
Yeah, they don't,
They don't
nobody
get
told me
touched.
Okay.
They don't get touched.
Gotcha.
So Rudy, is there still an issue from your viewpoint about Paul? Do you want to still talk to him? I mean, I don't want to speak for Paul, but he didn't know what was going on, and I felt an obligation to at least say, hey, look, something's going to happen down here that's going to impact.
No,
this area.
I haven't participated with the staff on these moving pieces because it's so fluid, from one week to the other. I'm not quite sure who's moving where. So I haven't given them any assurances that they would have a specific piece of real estate. Paul did express some concerns about the volume of tennis players and coming into the pro shop. And he felt that on a typical day, it could be close to 100 people that go into that area. That's going to be disruptive for those that are working there in office space and also the pro shop being able to accommodate them. It'll sort of look like a DMV as people line up to get service. And I don't mean to be facetious, but that's.
I thought they did most things online. What are 100 people going in there for?
According to Paul, there's face-to-face interaction with a number of folks.
About what?
Lessons.
They do all their tenants, they get all their tenants reservations online.
Yeah, but there's other activities that's going on. And Paul and I will talk about that this afternoon, so I'll get some specific information on what he's referring to.
And you can tell him that the previous pro had been in at least three different locations during his time here. He hasn't always been where the pro shop is.
Mr. Chair, can we allow this gentleman to speak here for a minute
With respect to
this subject?
Yeah.
He's been the liaison with us about this
go ahead.
discussion.
I'm also very involved in the tennis community and everything else. There's people that go in there and go to the county area to sign in or whatever. But when that was designed, there is a sliding window there. Keith, are you familiar with that?
Outside.
On outside before you can get to the door. So to just sign in and say, I'm going to there, that could be utilized. I don't know, how the window's probably never been open since it was built, but that's something to look at to cut down on some of the traffic. I just throw that out.
Okay, it's a good idea.
Well, I think Paul's big concern was there's a stringing machine.
Yes.
There was at one point a coffee kind of beverage area in there that was proposed and it didn't really go anyplace.
Correct.
There's going to be a 4-foot corridor in there. So yeah, we're taking away some space there, but at this point, I don't think we have any other options.
That's why I'm suggesting that window where the stringer goes, that there's plenty of room for them to string rackets in that area.
In the corridor?
In that 4-foot corridor, yeah. If you, I mean, you didn't see the machine, it's not that big, right? The other tennis players.
Yeah, I think it
yeah.
All right, but again, I mean, we're trying to be collaborative, and so I wanted Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want us to go in there and start building something, and the guy that lives there, what's going on here?
I actually just talked to him this morning, you know, we caught him off guard when we were there that day.
Yeah.
And he said, we'll have to do whatever we have to do to make it work, we'll make it work.
All right,
What
okay.
what his words were. So I think it
Sounds good.
All
Wow.
right, so to move this along, if it's okay with the board has said go. I'll continue to work with Keith and Rudy just to make sure that everybody is tuned in, and we'll get you the document you need. And we're gonna put the names who are going where, as discussed here, in the lease, so that we know the square, not the names, but the square footage. Andy will help us with what has to be done properly. All right, well, let me, while we're on such a roll here, who's paying for this?
We haven't, that hasn't been,
I thought the POA was.
The POA.
That's the direction I got.
Well, Lou?
I'll bring that to the board.
well, when Bill was here, he's not here now. This came up last
Bill
time.
left, yeah.
This came up last time, and I said, somebody's got to, you know, be involved in the costing.
Well, that should be in the lease.
That's the way I prepared it.
All right.
That's what my direction was. I thought from
And it was
Medina
$1, right? Came up with $1.
for the monthly lease amount.
Right, right,
Paying
right.
for the
And
renovation.
Renovation is more than $1.
All right,
So
so
what?
you're hearing it from the
It's more
board.
than
More than $1, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
Yes.
we needed the proposal.
Yes.
All right, so we have some work.
I think they expect to pay for it.
Okay.
That was my direction, but from Regina's notes. But
Yeah, I don't think the board thought we were gonna get it for nothing. But I'm only one person on the board, so that's why I will not speak for the entire board.
Right.
But
Well, the direction of this board is that the POA will pay for this renovation. Okay,
So the POA, Vesta, and Rosetta are all gonna play in the same sandbox.
Right.
yeah,
And you get to clean the litter.
Yeah.
No, sir.
yeah. And I think in the main, everybody
Okay,
thinks this
all
is a
right.
good thing.
I mean, going back to Ken's thing, I don't want this board to have to make the decision.
Yeah.
But I guess what I was thinking, if the three entities couldn't come to an agreement, then we would have, then we're the court of last resort.
Fine.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
fine.
Keith.
Just to
should
throw
say
another
properly.
wrench in the pile. You know, with the POA moving up here, this rooms are gonna be utilized for more and have to be set up. That's a budgetary item of, you know, that this man's probably gonna have to be figuring out. Having staff here to move these chairs, move the tables, and then reconfigure it back for dinner. So, that's a money issue as well. Where's that, and do we budget that, you know, because budget time's coming up.
I had a resident ask me, and it's an interesting question during the break that I didn't have an answer to. Realizing that most of the staff that does this setup is our wait staff. And realizing that our wait staff gets an hourly wage that's based upon gratuities. When they do setup like this and breakdown, and tomorrow, you know, for what's gonna go on here, are they still paid that same wage, or is there a consideration made that there's no gratuity involved in the 4 hours that this is gonna take?
Yeah, it's an excellent question, and it's one that contributes to the turnover issue. It needs to be addressed in the upcoming budget.
Okay.
And that's part of the recommendations I will make to the board for consideration.
Great.
Having them pay, you know, an $8 an hour wage, for example, with no additional compensation or commissions or anything like that, they certainly feel it's an unfair practice.
Okay, so currently they get their normal wait staff wage, for lack of a better way to put it. But we're gonna be considering,
We would have to create a new position, a
Or stipend.
non-tipped position, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's a proposal we'll make to the board.
okay, great, thank you.
All right, so just to close the loop here, when your work is done, when the PO signs it, we're gonna tell the contractor, do it.
I've already signed it. Oh, that, oh, I haven't signed
His-
that one.
his.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
We told him we needed this done quickly, and I think he's ready to go.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right, next subject. I know that this board also at the last meeting requested coordination of a shade meeting. So I have been in contact with Belinda as well as I had a conversation with your special counsel, Mark Hansen. Obviously, we know that I have conflicts, so I'm not handling it. I will not participate in the shade meeting. But I did correspond with Mark, who's not used to doing these, and so I will prepare the ad. I'll prepare a little script for him, just of the procedure. The substance is up to him, of the procedure to follow to make sure that everything's done properly. And it's my understanding that Belinda and Mark are working through what date works for scheduling.
I still have I think she said April 11th or something was possible. I still have a question.
I can chime in on,
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, Belinda.
I can chime in if you need me to. Okay, so we do have depositions for Rich, myself, Jerry Jasper, and for Keith as well, the week of March 14th, I believe.
Yes.
So the earliest that the shade meeting can take place would be on the 14th, but we would have to move the preparation deposition meeting, Rich, to the 16th, if that works for the entire board.
The 16th of
And
March?
if not, then the next meeting date would be April 11th, where we meeting.
I can't do it on the 16th of March. I indicated that to Ellen when I'm not good on the 16th, the 17th, or the 18th of March.
Sounds like a member does.
So,
Thank you, Rick.
so we would have to consider whether or not the board wants to, because we have the pre-deposition meeting immediately after the board meeting on the 14th. So if that date, the 16th, doesn't work to move the pre-deposition meeting, we would have to move the shade meeting to April 11th, if everybody's in agreement. That's the earliest that Mark can do it. He can't do it the second meeting of the month.
I think the reason we were having this shade meeting, I think it was Ken that brought it up. Is that right?
Initially, and then actually it was Ernest that asked.
You wanted to get filled in as to what's happening with the lawsuit with the city, correct?
And then some.
And then some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see this, certainly, it's gonna provide information, but I see it as very costly. And I don't know if it's necessary. I think the information that you're gonna get from looking at the book that Rick gave you this morning, with pictures and dates and all kinds of information, may answer a lot of your questions. And I don't know if we need to go through the expenses of having a shade meeting, bringing in the attorneys and the court reporter and all this other kind of stuff, until you take a look at that book. Maybe you have enough information there. And the rest of it, we can do publicly. I can fill you in together at a board meeting as to everything that's going on.
What I wanted to talk about beyond that, I didn't really want to bring up in this meeting. I want to bring up in that meeting.
Oh, okay, okay. Now, you realize that meeting has to be recorded and that once.
Well, there
litigation
is a court reporter present.
I understand all that.
Right, there's transcript made and at that conclusion of the
But then
litigation.
it's held.
Yes, it
until after the
stays
trial.
sealed until the conclusion of the litigation.
Okay.
Yeah,
About how much is that gonna cost us? About 5,000?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the court reporter will charge. I don't know how long your meeting is gonna be. I don't know what Mr. Hanson's hourly rate is.
$325, $335, something like that.
Okay, so figure maybe 3 hours on the outside,
So
that's
that's
1,000.
2 to 3. 2.
Plus you've got an ad, so,
Mhm.
yeah, 2 to
Court
3 grand
reporter.
maybe, somewhere in that range, just wild guess.
Well, I'm supportive of having the shade meeting. It's a confidential meeting we're in now, and it's part of negotiations and looking at the whole totality of circumstances and deciding what's in the best interest of this community. Do we move forward with this lawsuit or try to resolve it?
Actually, and I don't mean to interrupt you, already got accused of that today, but shade meeting is limited to exactly what you were discussing. Settlement negotiations and strategy related to litigation expenditures. And any formal action that you take would take place when you go back into the regular meeting.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Well, wait a minute.
Then we'll-
Clarity on that.
Yes.
So if we decide on a strategy in that meeting,
No, you do not have to, that's not formal action. Let's assume, I'm
so
totally
as long as
making
we're
this
not
up.
voting
Let's-
on a,
Let's assume, I'm totally making this
I
up,
get
let's
it.
assume you settle it, you, in that meeting would say, we want to settle it, and we want to settle it for $1, okay? You would go back into the regular meeting and take a vote on the dollar settlement. That's what I'm talking about. But if your strategy is we'd like to settle it or not settle it, or whatever that strategy is, no, that's not formal action.
Okay? All right, then, with that, fine, let's
And Ken, I'm
Let's-
glad to answer any more questions
let's
offline.
proceed with that.
Okay, so we're looking at the 11th.
Sounds like April 11th. Okay.
What time?
It hasn't been set.
Belinda, what time were you discussing with Mark?
It's the same time as the regular meeting, but what we would probably do is we can either put it at the top of the agenda or at the end of the agenda.
Top of the agenda.
Which I would suggest putting it at the top of the agenda so that you start with your shade meeting and then get back to your regular meeting.
Right, because the way it works is you have to advertise a regular meeting. Within that regular meeting, there's certain announcements that are made. Hey, everybody, we're going into a shade meeting. It's going to last 2 hours or whatever that may be. And then you ask everyone else to leave. You retreat into your shade, do your thing. You come back into the regular meeting.
Okay. All right, so the
so
11th.
people are
will be
gonna come to the regular, sorry,
No,
people are gonna come to the regular meeting and be told, go home for a couple hours and we'll call you when we're back?
Yeah.
Yep. Leave your number.
I guess I'm having some difficulty understanding
Unless you do it at
what
the
we're
end.
gonna accomplish there.
Unless you do it at the end.
You've been our representative on this thing, and. I mean,
No, I'm not.
No,
he's not.
this guy right here.
I'm sorry.
And we may decide something in that meeting, you go to the city and the city says, I don't like that. Then where are we?
You could have depending upon what the situation
Yeah.
is, you may decide to have another shade meeting. You
we
may
could discuss-
individually decide to.
Or you
talk
discuss
to-
a bunch of different what ifs.
Yeah, this is all part of negotiations and settlement and posturing and all.
Additional opinions coming into it, I think that's fine. And
I mean, the
you're right,
problem
I
is-
do represent the board.
Yeah, but we can't talk to you,
I know,
other than the meeting.
I do represent the board, so this is an opportunity to hear from all of you and for all of you to hear what Mark has to say.
Yeah.
And get a better handle on what's going on. That's fine. So April 11th.
So I'll work with Belinda and
First
Mark
item.
to make sure that he's prepared
Okay.
procedurally, again, for the record, and that the proper advertising.
Okay, thank you.
Next issue is also from Regina's notes, talked about Sunshine Workshop again, since I think we have new committee members. and
Yeah.
such. So when do we want to try and schedule that? I'm glad, as in the past, glad to do that, no problem, no charge.
It would be before a regularly scheduled meeting, regularly scheduled CDD meeting. So what works best for you?
Well, we would need some time to coordinate the advertising, but other than that,
How about the 28th of March?
that's fine by me.
Ready for March,
So
March
at
28th March 28th is a Monday. It's a regularly scheduled board meeting. And in the meantime, that gives us an opportunity to tell our committees when this is going to be and encourage them to be active.
Okay. And then the final item is just to keep the board apprised. We did receive a public records request with regards to some of the survey information. And so I've been working, Gina did some legal research, and I'm going to work with Vesta's counsel on disclosing what we have to and not what we don't have to.
Sure. When Regina was here last time, and we didn't have the YouTube going, she brought up something that I had never considered, and that was, do we need it to be closed captioned?
But remember, she rescinded that.
She did at the end, but I wasn't sure if that, I wasn't completely happy with the answer. Are we legally okay not having closed caption?
I believe so. I don't know how the discussion went, but I can
What
talk to her
I
about
think
it.
what she said, originally she said it, we all went, wow.
Yeah.
There's no way we're gonna do that.
Right.
But then she said, if it's placed on the website, and it's not.
Right.
Okay.
So then it kind of went, went
So-
bye-bye. That's the way I remember it.
I thought you said she was gonna look into it a little bit to make sure she was correct.
I will,
But,
I'll confirm with her on that issue. I
Mr.
don't know
List?
how the discussion went.
When she said ADA.
Yeah.
No, that's like saying, well, I'm gonna call my attorney.
I understand.
To back off that, once you
Okay,
realize
so
it
just
wasn't
wanna
on
be-
our website.
Yeah.
Just wanna be sure that we are
Yeah, I
not
think we all heard it
violating,
the same way, but whether we all heard it right. yeah.
I'll confirm with her.
we're not violating an
No
ADA.
problem.
Okay.
And, that's all I got.
Oh, that's all, huh?
I'm glad to answer any questions.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
See anybody have
What's the survey issue?
We got a public records request with regards to some of the backup information from the survey. And so we're trying to decide what needs to be disclosed and what doesn't.
People wanted to see the comments?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Oh, no.
All right, any additional questions for Andy?
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy. So next on the agenda is we have the River Club update. Yes, have
Finally
any
get to you.
representative for that? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep it brief. It's been a long morning already.
Can you speak up a little for me, please?
Yeah, we'll keep it brief. Let me first introduce the new interim club manager, Anthony Reyes. He joins the staff today. Anthony is a certified club manager with extensive private club industry background. He's been interviewed by some of the supervisors. He also has very solid food and beverage experience. As he comes on board, and we discussed this, we had a late conversation last night, he will immediately take full charge of the food and beverage operation. And we will start the transition with Paul immediately. Paul will be here, as you know, through the 12th. So it gives both of these gentlemen an opportunity to look under the carpet to see what it is that we need to do in order to facilitate a smooth transition. They'll be involved in the hiring process. So all of the open positions on the service team, and we talked about that this morning, Anthony will be able to participate in the acquisition of those employees. And he'll be also working with Vesta's HR team with respect to employee retention concerns. There hasn't been a lot of employee engagement with respect to retention, so Anthony, coming from his background, will be able to provide that support. So, Anthony's here. Anthony, if you would stand, welcome to the family. Welcome to Venetian River. One other note with respect to the food and beverage operation. By the end of this week, the entire culinary part of the operation, the food production side of it, will be completely staffed. Chef Ben and I have been working on his team. We've got a couple of other sous chefs that's come on board. And I would say starting this Sunday, and you can leave it on the list because it's achievable already. The omelet station will be back.
Okay.
And please don't take it off the list because I want to check that
Yes,
box.
I heard it.
And the pasta station will be back. And there is no plans to do any buffets or anything like that. But as you've noticed, we've resumed the lunch service both inside and outside for those who want to be in the air-conditioned space. And dinner is being served every night as we speak. So Chef Ben, we've gotten some anecdotal comments from those who have dined in the facilities recently. We appreciate those. They've been very favorable. He's a very enthusiastic person. He's got a lot of creative ideas. He's not going to get distracted by a criticism because he's focused on making this place the best it could possibly be. So with respect to usage and those types of things, we haven't moved into the phase where we're beyond staffing up and then start focusing on events and marketing of those events and that whole process. So there's a business plan in place to do that internally that we've talked about. But right now we're just focused on the staffing issues. So we're making progress in that area. We were surprised to hear within the last 48 hours that some of the wait staff are leaving to go to Heritage. It was interesting that we hosted a Heritage event here last week. And if you recall, Mark Burnett from Heritage, the president, mentioned that his biggest challenge in his company is food and beverage. And he talked about staffing shortages and he talked about wages and the dysfunction in those areas. And he asked everybody to be patient. I think I've been saying that for the last few weeks, so I may just repeat what he said. Please be patient. We're on the road to recovery. So thank you for your support, and that's all I have.
Just a question. Where do we advertise for staff? Do we use like Indeed or these places that you see advertised on TV? Newspaper ads?
Yeah, each market is unique, so it's a hit or miss type thing, and it's trial and error. We've tried Indeed, and we seem to have much success with the managerial positions on Indeed, particularly in the hospitality sector, if you will. For the line employees, we're more successful locally with Craigslist.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so, you try these different strategies to see which one will speed up what I call the acquisition pace. And we seem to have hit on it. It's taken a little while, but we now have a formula with respect to the line employees, which seems to be working well. The management positions, there's two positions that are outstanding at the moment. And you mentioned the guy came in and worked for 5 hours and left. Well, he was being trained by Paul, and Paul, being the fitness person that he is, was somewhat intimidating because Paul was moving at 99 miles an hour. And I think the guy looked at that and said, I don't think I could keep up with Paul. Nevertheless, Paul said, I assure you I didn't intimidate him, but he basically acknowledged that I don't think I have what it takes in terms of the energy level that's required. So it's not a, it was good intel. It was good intel. So it sort of defines, if you will, what the criteria will be going forward without being, advertising that particular type of skill set. But that's where we are.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rudy. You guys have any additional feedback or questions?
Well, I have to compliment your tiki bar bartender out there, Chris. He is excellent. His attitude, the people love him out there. He stays. They're used to 5 o'clock. The door will come down. Not Chris. Chris stays the extra time, and he's a great asset to your company out there. He's like an employee. If you had an employee of the month. This month.
We only have one.
I mean, well, he was the only one this month.
Well, I will say along those lines, I think she said she was a sous chef, Aubrey.
Yes.
I was here Saturday. One of the people at the table has some dietary issues. Aubrey became aware of that and brought out a special dessert because the dessert items that we had, she couldn't eat any of those things. And there was no advance notice or anything like that. Aubrey found out about it, brought out a special dessert. So kudos to her. That was a very nice thing to do.
Yeah, it's, and I mentioned it at the last meeting, we're just getting started.
Okay.
We're just getting started. We're in the early phases of a complete food and beverage transformation. I'm optimistic, folks.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, very good. So next on the agenda, we have the field manager update. Keith, I'll give you the floor.
Good morning. It's another great day in the land of opportunity, I tell you.
Actually, I think it's afternoon.
Oh, is it afternoon? Well, it's another great afternoon in the land of opportunity. I have a few things. First, I want to talk. We've had some guard issues up at the guardhouse here as of late. 2 of them. One, there was a gentleman that came in. He's a golf. He's a member of the golf course, not a resident here. And for some reason, he jumped out of his car, rushed the gate, threw the door open, got in Chris's grill, and was yelling profanities. Had his fist clenched and was going off, and put his finger on Chris. Well, I didn't know about the finger part, and trying to. So it became a deal. I talked with Mr. Booker about it, and we did have the police write up a report. I was also told that the gentleman could have been arrested for assault, and it's a felony because Chris is a uniformed officer. So that, I went over to, talk to the, general manager of the golf course, and he stated that, he just kind of, okay, we can't have that type of action, and not a whole lot was done, but then he asked me about the RFID stickers. Can we get, for golf members, get them an RFID sticker?
Golf members who do not live in the community.
Off campus.
Off campus, yes. And they just have to be members of the golf course. I really didn't see an issue with that. I told them I would talk to the board about it. We did make up a non-resident form, all right, and issued it to them. I said, and of course, there'll be a charge, $13.38 for the sticker. And it's just one per, we can't give out, so his whole family, or unless it's a family, they buy the family package. But I wanted to get some guidance from you all about that. I'm not going to give one to that gentleman. All right. I see no reason to reward that type of activity, getting in, doing that type of thing. And there was two witnesses. One lady got out of her car and ran behind her car because she thought there was going to be gunplay or something. Chris said nothing to the guy. There was no verbal exchange. He just jumped out of his car and went at him. So that type of activity just should not happen here. All right. So and it was one of the first times, I went, you really didn't say anything? Because we all know Chris. But he didn't. So there was another guard in there that said, there was nothing said. The guy just went ballistic. So I don't know if he missed his tea time or what it was. So if you're all right, I'll go ahead with
How many are there, do you know?
No idea. I'm not sure it's going to be a great deal, but it'll.
How are you gonna know when they're no longer members? You gotta turn them off.
Well, that would be on the golf club. Unless we could do something on, like, shut them all off at the end of the year until we get verification.
Just make them yearly.
Continue.
Yeah, there's
That's a great idea.
in the program, we can set it to shut off at a specific date.
Yeah, why don't we do that? In the past, we have done that. Not many, because we'd have 5, off-campus.
Yeah,
people.
there's not going to be a great deal.
Now there's probably going to be more because they're making a big push for membership and they are getting people from the outside. I have no problem with giving that extra perk.
Yeah.
Let them.
Okay.
If you're gonna shut them off, then you gotta let people know. Just as a courtesy.
Sure.
Hey, this
Well,
is only good till December 31st.
Well, we'll let them know that,
You have to renew
you're
it.
being, this has got an expiration date on it.
Right.
And we'll tell them when they come and get the sticker.
And they're not going to get charged for another sticker. That's a one-time deal.
It's one time.
But the activation will only run through December 31st, and then they have to come and react.
Well, yeah, let's say they sell their car, sticker,
Oh, well, that's
they have to pay for
Oh,
that
yeah,
sticker.
Same.
So, the other issue at the gate was a resident was awakened in the middle of the night, somebody ringing her doorbell, okay? She called the gatehouse. Of course, the gatehouse said you have to call the police. She did. And patrol did go over, all right? And I'm sure it wasn't right away, but the police showed up within 12 minutes. And she was wanting to know from us, how come who are we letting in here at that hour of the day? She wants to see a list of all the people that were coming in at the gatehouse and that we were letting in. So doing some exploration and looking around, I saw that really from 11 o'clock till almost 6:40, there was nobody that came in that gate in the guest side, okay? Well, and that was through the program. Nothing was entered, anybody going anywhere. Well, then I looked at the playback. I can go and Paul from Envision showed me how we can go in and look at the camera film and see. Well, at 2:55, there was somebody that came in and on the guest side and just came in, stopped for a second and went. 10 minutes later, he saw him leaving. So I had to get with the gatehouse and say, wait a minute, how come we're not logging this person in? Well, Well, come to find out, it's the newspaper lady. She had failed to drop some mail, or a newspaper at somebody's, came back in and then left right away. Well, it just happened when she came in, you could see the police coming, about 10 minutes later. And so that wasn't the issue. So we don't know what it was that was ringing the doorbell. The cops looked around, couldn't see anything. There was nothing. The resident was a little, when I told her that this is a public street, all right, privately maintained, she's very upset that she's lived here for many years and that we're not secure. This isn't, that these guys aren't security people. I said, no, ma'am, they're not. They're a courtesy patrol. I said, they don't get out of their car and enter. They're not trained to do any of that. Okay. So I think that in your newsletter, we may want to say a little bit more about that issue, that, this isn't security. This is not, that's not their function, is to do that. They observe and report. That's it. They're not going to intervene. So there is a resolution. We do have a resolution that was back in 2011, I believe. And I think some of that wording might want to be revisited and looked at and maybe changed. I'll get with Belinda and we'll go over that and then present it to you all. But I will get with this resident and tell her my findings. All right. And so we'll go from there on that one.
Okay. Let me add a little more to it. The resident claims the doorbell was rung at 3:00 in the morning. You need to tell her that patrol did go by. That's a new piece of information.
Yeah, patrol went by.
She was upset that why didn't the patrol people go in? And I told her, you got the right information. You should immediately call the local police. She was upset because she's under the impression that we have major security here. Well, she's wrong. If you want to get in here, you can get in here. And so if you could, add some wordage.
I'll add a little bit more to what I said.
And I assured her it would come up at this meeting. I think we all know what we have, and I don't think there's any desire to change it.
Well, one of the things that does confuse people is both the car and their shirts say security, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it lets people who don't belong here think we have security. But then the flip side of that, it gives some of the people who live here a sense of false security.
Well, she's talking.
And I don't want them to change their shirts.
Right. No,
We've had that discussion before.
Well, she's advocating, I think, fencing the whole place.
Oh, sure.
And
guard dogs, the whole nine.
yeah, and I think sharing with her that security did go by will be a good thing, because I didn't know that part of it either.
Yeah.
All right.
But I haven't, it's taken me some time to put all those pictures together and the reports and all that stuff, so I could speak logically with her about the transition, what happened, and that nobody was let in. Okay, nobody was let in.
She claims the local police told her, don't go near your door. She was scared. We probably all would be scared.
At 3:00 in the morning, somebody ringing your doorbell, and she was.
Yeah.
So,
all right, thank you.
Keith, just one other point about this,
Yes, sir.
just feedback for what it's worth. Friends told us that friends of theirs came into the community, got to the guardhouse. The guardhouse never asked for an ID, never said who you're going to see, never checked the list. They were on their permanent visitor list, never bothered to check, just asked what address you're going to and let them in.
I'll address that, but
Training, I don't know. I said it's the same people as far as I know. I don't know why they would do that.
yeah, I mean, if they're coming in all the time, what address they can look at, but I'll address that.
But they don't
issue
know
with
the
them.
name.
Yeah, I'll address it with them. But that's what they're supposed to be doing, is asking their name, and who you're going to see, and that's it. Yep. The proposal for planting back here, okay? I had LNP out, and we're looking at, and they're gonna have, there's some stump grinding that has to happen to clean that up. And the palms, there's 10 of them. So we're looking at $6,325. And that's gonna make a 30-gallon, are pretty tall, so it'll be immediate. But,
Were there palms there before?
at one
You
time,
said
I
they
think
were
there
just,
was some palms there,
decorative
there was,
grasses.
but I think there might have been the Washingtonian palms or something like that had to be cut and grinded down or had diseases with them, but I don't know what was there prior to 3 years ago.
I think the area needs to be filled in. I think it doesn't look good, that's for sure. And doesn't present the right image. So for $6,000 and change, I don't think it's a lot of money to spend to spruce it all up, clean it up.
Well, the only problem is that would come out of landscape replacement, plants and shrubs.
I'm not sure where we're.
That would, well, we have a $20,000 budget for the year, and we've already spent $9,000. And we've got a lot of months left.
Okay, but you still have, from the $50,000 you didn't spend, you spent 23,000 of it today.
Well, we're also 20,000 under mulch too.
Under cost.
Under cost.
So there's.
I mean, at some point in time, we may have to move, ask Belinda to move money around.
Something around, but for right now, this.
I'm just concerned that, if we spend this $6,000, which I think is legit, but then that leaves us about $5,000 for replacements for the rest of the year, which is not very much.
Be careful on the mulch.
I'm sorry?
Be careful on the mulch. The bill comes in at one time.
No,
The budget is spread over 12 months.
No, but we got, the two bills are paid.
So we'd
Yeah.
have $22,000 left.
We
over.
budgeted 60,000 and we spent
For the
spent
year.
40s, yes. But we only mulch once a year.
30 gallons, these are huge.
They're pretty good size.
Is there a middle ground here to go?
I'm sure there is, but the reasoning was that it's immediate, all right? For one, the noise, and then seeing, this area, so, we can go lower, we can go smaller, sure, that's not a.
We've spent 44.
I've mentioned it.
That's it. We're not spending any more on mulch.
I've mentioned it a number of times, because that area at one time was filled, I believe it was Brazilian peppers. And they had to be taken out when they were, that buffer was removed. And it's.
Okay, well, let's make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept that bid from LNP and we proceed with it as quickly as possible.
Is there an invoice number or a total cost number?
Total cost is $6,325, and it's an estimate number of 76223. I'll give it to you.
And this will benefit the general area, not just the homeowner?
No, it'll benefit the general area. Oh, yeah, that's a pretty big span.
Because we have not been receptive to help
individual.
Okay, if in fact it'll help the general area. The general area looks terrible over there.
Right. So this is gonna spruce it up, that's for sure. And it's gonna, provide reestablish that buffer once again. And yes, we could get probably little plants and 5 years from now they'd be adequate, but I think this is a better way to go.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so
We do need to open it up for public comment since it's an off-agenda item.
Okay. Do we have any public comment?
All right, thank you.
Okay, close public comment.
Okay.
We need to vote.
Yep, I have a motion on the floor, motion by Rich, looking for a second.
Second.
Second by Ernest.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That's okay.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
We have to leave at 1.
Okay.
I've got just a couple more things.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll, it's like 5. This is, I had MRI out here. They are the underwater guys for the pump house, and to look at a treatment plant, basically, for water coming out of it, going into the irrigation. And so and we're trying to do some other things that's not going to cost this amount. Now, whether it works, we'll see here the next couple months. But here's a proposal for that treatment system that kills, the larvae and everything else that's clogging up, the system, and it's $18,353. It's quite an elaborate system, all right, but that also includes in it, there's a monthly, maintenance that they do, and that's $400 but that's $400 a month also, because there's pellets or these, that you have to put in the treatment center, and they do that, and then that included in the $400 maintenance agreement. But, they were out and took a look, and, the golf course was there. I was trying to hope that we could get one system to do both of them, but of course not. You can't do that. So the golf course is also looking at doing their side of that as well. But we're gonna, we've got Solitude spraying the pond, doing some different things. Hopefully that's gonna alleviate our problem.
Hopefully we're fishing there.
Yeah, we're gonna be putting some, I've got to get with that guy and get some fish put in. It's just, that's not a huge bill, but I think that, that'll help.
Okay, so we know if none of these things work, we have something else to consider.
Right.
Let's try the other.
That's been pointed out to me, we don't own that irrigation lake, so we need to be careful what.
We don't own the irrigation.
We don't own the irrigation lake where you're talking
Right.
about doing this too. Let's see what happens here, but keep that in mind.
Okay.
We've talked about the new office space, the YouTube. This was all set up by, when this all started, by Denise with Vesta. Okay, so this is really a Vesta thing. It's not a CDD thing, even though I'm sitting here, making you all look good. And so that is but I just wanted to make sure that we understand that this is, unless you all decide, but this is, Rudy's, well, it's not Rudy's anymore. It's yours. And I'm more than happy to sit and do this and get it. But this is where it all started, was from Denise and all that. And not
This is not a Rosetta.
One last thing, with all this new office space coming in and everybody kind of moving, shifting around, the phone system here is probably antiquated. And there's all these new offices that are going to be going in and down at there's going to be the 2 offices down there. I was going to just throw it out there and see what a phone system for the whole building. And the receptionist, when you call anybody, you want to talk to the CDD office, you want to talk to the PO, you want to talk to the pro, you want to talk to, the general manager, press 1, 2, 3, or 4. You want to leave a message, press 5. And then it goes out that way, and we're all under, right now, the CDD has a completely different phone system and internet than what the River Club has. Get one company out here, get it all rewired and done, and what that cost is, I don't know. But to get it all functioning correctly.
What are we entitled to with the Comcast? Jerry's not here, too bad, but I think that would be a conversation to have with him, Keith.
It's not a phone system.
Yeah, it's not a phone, but it's the
We got some
internet.
drops out of it. We got some internet drops and some cable drops for, I think there were a total of 10.
But the phone system would be a separate thing.
For free, yeah.
I thought I was involved in some contract that Denise had done something with the phone system.
Yes, but I think that's just the phone. It's not connected to one central place where, you got one number you call, and then you've got all these options
Yeah,
that you can.
I don't know what the details are.
I
but
don't either.
I do remember some work done with the phone.
But I'm just throwing out that it would be, one, it would look, more professional and more, one location, you press a number, and the phones go to
Why don't
wherever.
you get a price on what something like that costs and check and see.
Isn't this a Vesta issue?
Well, it's a building issue, and I just, I haven't had really time to talk to Rudy, but he's got enough on his hands, so, I was just sitting here thinking about that when we were talking about the office space. Everything, all the phones and everything that's gotta go and be changed around.
Well, if you get a number, whether it be from Vesta or whatever, it's something that can be considered with the upcoming budget.
Fantastic, that's it for me.
That's all. Thank you.
I've made a note of that, so I'll put it in my flyers.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, thanks, Keith. Next on the agenda, we have the district manager report. I can let you guys know the next regular meeting for the Board of Supervisors is scheduled for Monday, March 14th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. Right now, Andy had talked about the shade meeting that we had for consideration there as well. I know you'd had a question about financials. We can go ahead and skip right into financials. If you have any questions, we can see if we can get them addressed.
Yeah, one thing that Belinda notes, there are no page numbers on these, which drives me nuts. Belinda. She went to sleep.
She heard you.
On the first page of the statement, revenues general fund for the CDD, which I mentioned earlier, the mulch, we're going to be way under. Both bills are in for the mulch, and so we're about $20,000 under on mulch. So okay, we'll have some money to spend. The landscape architect services, we have not paid for a landscape architect this fiscal year, but his bill came in late, so this is the bill from last year. Okay, just in case anybody saw that. And I had asked Belinda earlier about the non-reoccurring expense at $10,660. The pump that we all know we had to do. For Rudy, on the River Club Fund, your building maintenance, you have $21,100 budgeted, and to date, we've spent $23,442, and you got a lot of months left. So I don't know, that's going to probably fall into your lap, but either something's been put in the wrong category, or we got a problem.
About that, haven't gotten a response yet.
Okay, so just I want to make the board aware and make sure Rudy and you guys knew, because that looks out of whack. And equipment on the same page. 21,130 budgeted, 10,395 spent. So over 50% spent. We're not halfway through the year. Again, just a kind of a warning for both of you to, it's something to watch. Okay, that's all I had.
All right. Just I don't know how it's normally been handled in the past.
I'm sorry?
I don't know how it's normally been handled by the board in the past, because we can't talk to each other than the meetings, but I've been going back and forth, asking a lot of questions on different things and getting answers, and they've been trying to fix some stuff.
Right.
I don't know if that's something.
That's pretty much the way we had. We tried not to do it at the meetings because it was,
right.
5 of us asking questions.
Yeah.
It gets kind of cumbersome.
What I will try to do is I get responses to things, I'll send them to Belinda, and maybe she'll distribute them to the board. Is that a good way?
Like these couple things I had were just more informational than anything else. And again, because we can't talk outside the meeting.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I had.
Very good. Well, that's all I have at this point for district manager. Do you guys have any questions for me or Belinda?
I just have a couple of comments under supervisor requests. To my fellow supervisors, the newsletter will come out. I'll finalize it and send it to Keith today and distribute it. And I'm aware of a couple of changes, including under the update on the bond refinancing. I left three digits off that number. I did, because of the change in plans for the food and beverage gentleman that was coming in, I removed that from the newsletter. And instead, I put in a welcome to Heritage Golf, which says, on February 11th, Heritage Golf Group completed their purchase of the golf club in the Welcome Center. Heritage currently owns and operates 18 golf facilities. 2 additional golf courses will be bought shortly. According to Heritage President Mark Bennett, renovations of the golf course will be first on their list of improvements. Food and beverage services will likely be the next area of concern. According to Mr. Bennett, the future of the former Welcome Center remains undecided. That's a quote basically from him. and then simply welcome Heritage Golf. I will make some changes, a little expansion on the privacy services, and otherwise, I think everything else is okay. I haven't gotten any other changes except strategic planning, which I'll add those correct dates. And other than that, everything else looks good, unless there's any question. Okay.
Good job.
Thank you. The POA meeting is this Wednesday. Last month, Steve went. I cannot go Wednesday because I'm involved with our asphalt.
I'll go.
Thank you.
It's.
Okay, it's gonna be at the
Arm
golf
wrestle
club.
for it?
You can go too.
It's gonna be at the golf club, and it's gonna be, I believe it's gonna be Zoomed. Thank you for doing that. As Belinda said, there are a couple of us that are gonna be involved in depositions that deal with the hydraulic spill, including Corinne Richard, the former field manager that we had years ago, but she was here in 2017 when these spills first occurred. So there will be some depositions taken, Belinda, myself, Keith, Corinne, Jerry Jasper. I think that's it. Okay, so that brings you up to date that way. Thank you for taking the POA meeting. I appreciate that.
All right.
I'm done.
Thanks, Rich.
I'm done.
There, you move on.
What did she say?
Rich, the Reserve Study Committee recommendation, I don't know if you want to bring that up.
The reserve study, thank you, Belinda. The reserve committee wants to, because we had really not any response to do the reserve study, they want to reach out to the company that previously worked for us to see if they will come on board and update that reserve study. Jerry Jasper kind of indicates that he might be able to get them on board. So I'd like to make you aware of that. Was there anything else with that, Belinda?
I reached out to Custom Reserves as well because they were one of the companies that we asked to provide a bid. They expressed what their concerns were. They are willing to provide a bid, but not adhering to some of the requests from the committee. So if there is no objection by the board or by the committee, if things don't work out with Florida Reserve Study, then maybe one of the committee members can have a discussion with Custom Reserves on the proposal that they submitted, which I provided to you.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be Jerry that had that, would have that discussion. But yes.
I thought that we were not happy with the product they delivered last time.
I don't know if that was necessarily so in every respect.
Well, there were things missing that they probably just didn't know about.
Yeah, they forgot what it is.
Clearly, so much has changed in a few years, but clearly the life expectancies, the replacement cost, a lot's changed, which is why we wanted to get it updated.
I mean, one of the things that's a stumbling block is asking for the software so that we can make changes.
I was going to ask you,
well, that I think that's a major stumbling block. Either
nobody's going to want to give you that.
Either they don't want to give it, or they don't want to give it. So it's one of those two things. But that would be helpful for the committee and for us certainly, because it can be changed from month to month. You know, as we pave a road, let's say, or redo some curbing, we can make the adjustment right away and be current all the time. That's a stumbling block.
Would they be willing to provide us just a download on an Excel spreadsheet of that data that we could then manually be updating?
I think that's what we want, but I can't answer your question. I don't know if they'd be willing to do that.
Because I know that they're not going to give you the software or even let you use it. But if we could at least get a dump of the data, then we can create something.
What was this not the company that told us we were reserved like at 20% and they didn't think that was so bad?
It changes. Some years it's
not
always the same.
I just distinctly remember that there was a lot of unhappiness with the quality of the work they did. Now, maybe I got them wrong, but Mike, were you involved in that research?
I was, and that was my project. That company was recommended to us by Rick.
Yeah.
We started out that project, I have to think what his name was. He was the club manager after Pete, or after
Yeah.
Josh.
The
big guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Scott. He had done a project like that at the club down in Naples.
Yep.
And so we were gonna try it ourselves. It's a humongous task.
Right.
Rick recommended this company. We picked out some errors, but we made some errors too. And to my knowledge, unless Jerry remembers this differently, we were maybe not in agreement with everything, but it was our first time of doing a reserve study for this club. And I thought the board was generally happy with it. Steve, I think you even used them for something you did at your synagogue or something?
Not them. Maybe we're talking two different. My bugaboo was, I think I just come on the board and there.
You had just come on the facility.
Yeah. Wasn't it a father-son team?
No.
No, okay, that's the group I'm talking about, the father-son.
No.
And we went round and round with them about the reserve amounts that I thought we were woefully under-reserved.
No.
So, all right.
I don't.
All right.
I mean, we had some issues like the golf or the tennis storage thing. I think the number got put in, some decimal points got missed.
Yeah.
We picked that up. We questioned some years.
I'm right? I'm right?
Yes.
Say some more.
You're right, it was a husband, it was a father.
It was the father-son
Yeah,
team,
this
okay,
was
thanks.
not a father's.
Okay, all right.
So, and that name, what was the name that you're going to, Florida something?
Yeah, I don't remember that name.
That just very dully rings a bell, but I'm not sure.
Might have simply been Florida Reserve Study.
Could have been.
Something like that.
But it was a company Rick had recommended.
Okay.
And he said that a lot of his clients use these things.
The other Rick, not this Rick.
Rick,
This
engineer.
This Rick.
My turn?
Yes, sir.
All right, so
Wait, excuse me, how are we leaving this? We gonna go back to them and take out some conditions, or?
That's gonna be part of the finance committee's job. Because if we're making it too restrictive, where no one is going to want to do it, then we have to. They don't meet your standards, you have to lower your standards. No, we're gonna have to, we thought that was gonna be a stumbling block right from the very, very beginning. So I think the committee is willing to remove that, or at least modify it.
Can we move on? Just quickly, I want to keep you up to date on what's going on with the Tiki Hut. This past week, we had a meeting with the two companies, Fishman and Cross Construction, brought them in here. They met each other for the first time. That meeting went well. We've eliminated some more equipment out of the equipment package of things. The price has come down a little bit, and we've eliminated some things out of the construction portion, which has brought the price down. So you can see now we're at approximately $210,000. The stuff below the line are contingency issues, landscaping, furniture, things to come down the road. So just for your information, the game plan this week is Andy's going to get the contracts from them. We've got a revised contract, and we hope to be signing some documents yet this week. So it's moving
Well,
along.
we've prepared the contracts and they're with you, so if you want to forward them on to the vendors like we talked about, or call me offline, whatever I can do to help.
So the only item is when we're gonna start, and given the lead, we're hearing 4 months, 5 months on lead time equipment, so we may push ourselves into off-season to do this anyway. And if you've noticed the lights that were out there, those tacky old lights, they're gone. We did take some initiative and took those down. They just look terrible. So remember, down the road, once we get through the tiki hut, then we're gonna have to have some discussion about lighting and shade out there, which will be another discussion. That's it.
All right, thanks, Steve.
I got a couple things. One, the Strategic Direction Committee has been working very hard. You know, we've been meeting twice a month. Our meetings have gone well over 2 hours in some cases because people were very much involved in the discussion and wanted to get the draft done and to the board. So we will be conveying this week to the board a draft of the plan and a cover letter recommending next steps for the board to consider. So know that will be coming this week. Secondly, somebody asked me to bring up the mask mandate for the staff here at the River Club is still in effect, I believe.
I think we can relax that.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, I think we did it by motion the last time, so I think it would be prudent to do it by motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we eliminate the requirement for staff to wear masks unless they're unvaccinated. Same as the rule for the guests at the River Club, which I think is mask is not required unless you're not vaccinated.
I'll second that, but it's not on the agenda, so we have to open it up for public comment. Any comment about that?
It's just eliminated entirely for everybody. I mean, that's.
Well, for unvaccinated staff, if we have any, and I don't know whether we do or not.
Do you qualify vaccination? I mean, how do you know? You gotta isolate those people, the servers that have to have masks on.
I don't like it, but that's currently the rule for guests as well as.
So why don't we go by CDC guidelines and eliminate the rule?
Well, the CDC did say that masks are no longer required in areas that have low or moderate transmission rates. Sarasota County has a high transmission rate. So that's a little nuance in that ruling from CDC. And they were kind of, they tamped down that part of it. The exposure rate, the positivity rate last week in this county was, I think, 12 to 15%, down certainly from where it's been, but it still is. If you look at the data, we're still in a high transmission. Yeah, please.
Yeah, hi. I would point out, we eat out a lot. One of the places we eat a lot is Lucarelli's down in 41, and they've been very cautious, very, very cautious with masks. And they're now mask-free. And I think recognizing the many hurdles that we have with trying to keep staff, I think we also need to think about, as we come into the warmer weather, how much are we asking of staff to wear masks? So I would just encourage you to think about that holistically and in practical terms, whether we.
Why don't we make it voluntary?
Well, whatever we do, remember, it's hard to ascertain whether somebody is fully vaccinated or not.
Right.
So.
That's why I think it's kind of.
Now, somebody took the sign down at the door.
Oh, they did?
The sign on our front door is down, and that should not have come down, but it is down.
Well, what is your policy, Randy, for Vesta?
Vesta continues to promote the idea that if you're unvaccinated, you should continue to wear a mask. But we have no way of, as you said.
Right, you can't ask.
It's voluntary.
Yeah.
What is the definition of vaccinated?
The official definition right now is 2 shots.
And a boost.
Well, there's some debate about 1 booster, 2 booster. Fully vaccinated, I believe the official definition is 2 shots and a booster. Now, there's some posturing about another booster, whether that's going to happen or not, who knows. But the standard certainly is moving towards unmasking because of public will. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not gonna comment. But again, if you're following the science says through the CDC that in areas with high transmission rates, still mask.
Why don't we just make it voluntary?
I
You wanna
don't,
wear a mask, wear a mask.
I don't, I'm not commenting one way or another. I mean, Andy?
I mean, it's not my decision, it's the board's decision.
Good luck.
But, I mean, Vesta's our management and they have policy. I think it makes sense to follow their policy, but.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the Vesta policy is?
We promote the idea that unvaccinated associates should continue to wear a mask.
Voluntarily.
You promote the idea? or you
But we
require?
encourage. We
Encourage or
yeah,
require?
not require, encourage.
Okay. So we can put on the sign, we encourage you to wear a mask.
Like a lot of-
I think the answer, I would suspect in a couple of weeks, you're gonna see that positivity rate come down again. Because it's been dropping precipitously.
So, do you guys want to take any action on the current mandate at this point?
I'm fine with the Vesta regulation.
All right, so I'll withdraw my motion.
All right.
So then
Yes, I
the
see.
sign needs to go back up
Okay.
that says what it says. And I'm assuming that it's not just for associates, it's for anybody coming in.
Wait a second.
No, yeah, we have to.
We have a policy
For the staff.
historically. Now we have no motions on the floor right now.
Right.
So we need to decide how you want to proceed going forward. Either leave the policy in place, take no action, or make some change.
I'm gonna make a motion that we allow the staff to follow the same policy as we do for our residents.
Which would be wearing a mask if you're not vaccinated.
We don't require it, we encourage it.
Okay,
Does
so
does that meet your standard, Rudy?
Yes.
that's Ken's motion. Does anybody want to second?
I'll second it.
All right.
Any discussion? Okay, so then a vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna vote no.
Three opposed?
2-1.
So that passes 3-1. All right, very good. Any additional supervisor requests?
No.
All right, so we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All right, got a motion by Rich,